Chapter 338. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _5. She only despised herself for being too weak, for failing to protect her own children. She let them be born unwanted by anyone. And Aiyang said, "Mom, don't be upset. Our 3 younger sisters, they have their own luck. They'll be fine. Perhaps we'll even find them in the future." And Tsuehua wiped away her tears. "I no longer hope to find them. All I wish for is their well-being in this world. Mom, rest assured, our 3 sisters must still be alive. They are all living well." And Aiyang embraced Tsuehua. And Tsuehua sobbed uncontrollably. It started to drizzle on Tomb Sweeping Day. The weather was a tad chilly. The mood matched that poem. During Tomb Sweeping Day, rain trickles down. Travelers on the road are filled with sorrow. And Aiyang pulled out a coat from the cupboard to wear again, and followed Tsuehua outside to burn paper money. Because Tsuehua believed her 3 daughters were still alive, she did not prepare spirit tablets for them. She only honored the spirit tablets of her foster parents. Days flew by. In a blink of an eye, half a month had passed. The 2 shops in the city were already renovated. All that's left was for Aiyang to pick a day to open. Aiyang chose the 6th day of May. There were still 5 days left before the opening. New shops meant hiring new employees. According to the 3 people per shop standard, Aiyang still needed to recruit 6 more people. Naturally, these 6 people would be from the village. Aiyang offered high salaries, so the women in the village were all willing to help Aiyang. New employees needed to familiarize themselves with the work environment early on, so Aiyang took them to the milk tea shop and noodle restaurant to help out the very next day. After working for 3 days, the 6 people had all become familiar with their job. Aiyang then led them to the new shop to prepare for its opening. These 6 people were Lu Chuanfen, Zhaohui Lu Chui, Wang Ruyu, Sun Xiaoyu, Wang Dongji. They were all honest and humble people who were grateful to Aiyang. Therefore, Aiyang felt secure leaving the shop in their hands. The day before the opening, Aiyang bought some braised meat for everyone to take home. Everyone took their meat home, while Aiyang stayed in the shop to deal with some minor details. "Yang, is your shop really opening the day after tomorrow?" Zhou Xiaolian, the neighboring shop owner's wife, came over to join the fun. Aiyang was always enthusiastic and knew how to get along with people. During the renovation, she offered everyone bread and milk tea in consideration of the noise disturbance. This goodwill left everyone with a good impression of her. Aiyang nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Zhou Xiaolian continued. Yang, you've prepared so many noodles and milk tea. Aren't you afraid you won't get enough customers tomorrow? I don't mean to sound negative, but this shop is rather tricky." Aiyang laughed. "Ma'am, I'm confident that I'll be able to sell everything." After all, Aiyang didn't believe in the whole feng shui thing. If it really had to do with feng shui, wouldn't all the shops in this row have to close down? Yet she saw other shops doing quite well. Moreover, Aiyang had spent 3 days doing promotions at the old shop. Aiyang wasn't worried about her business at all. After all, the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop had already built a substantial reputation in the city's food industry over the past half a year. Several imitators had already emerged in the city, yet none of them could match the taste provided here at Aiyang's. Therefore, everyone preferred to come to Aiyang's. Zhou Xiaolian gave Aiyang a look. Yang, you're still too young. There are things you have to believe in. Why don't you burn some things at the front of the shop to ward off evil? Otherwise, I'm really worried. If there weren't problems with the feng shui of these 2 shops, how is it possible that 3 shops opened in a row and all had to close down? "Ma'am," Aiyang continued, "I appreciate your kindness. I'll consider it when I get home." Zhou Xiaolian added, Yang, don't blame me for not warning you if you fail to get any business." Then Zhou Xiaolian changed the topic. "By the way, Yang, the person who came with you last time, was that your mother? The one who was also holding a baby?" "Yes, that's my mother," Aiyang nodded. Zhou Xiaolian thought about how to phrase the next sentence. Yang, what I'm about to say next might be a bit blunt, but I hope you won't take offense." "Ma'am, just say what you have to say." Zhou Xiaolian hesitated. Aiyang poured Zhou Xiaolian a glass of water. "Why don't we sit down and talk?" Chapter 339. Teach the scum a lesson, be the matchmaker _6. Zhou Xiaoyan took a sip of water and sat face to face with Ai Yang at the dining table, feeling less nervous. Then she continued. I've heard that your mother divorced. Is she currently single? Ai Yang's expression changed slightly. Worried that Ai Yang might misunderstand something, Zhou Xiaoyan hurriedly added. Yang, don't worry, I don't mean anything else. I just think it's a pity for your young mother to remain single. Society has changed now, and there are many women who remarry. Auntie, what are you implying? Zhou Xiaoyan took another big gulp of water. Yang, let me be straight with you. I have a single man in my family, my cousin. His wife passed away due to complications during childbirth. He has been alone for so many years since then, so I was thinking. Then it dawned on Ai Yang what Zhou Xiaoyan was there for. Zhou Xiaoyan was proposing a marriage match for her mother, Ai Cuihua. As she concluded, Zhou Xiaoyan continued. Yang, you're a sensible child. You wouldn't mind if your mother found a new partner, right? In fact, finding a new partner is a great idea. Wouldn't it be nice to have an extra person who cares about you in the future? My cousin is a handsome man with good character, currently the manager of a state-owned restaurant. If they were to get married, he would certainly treat you and your little sister as his own daughters. Zhou Xiaoyan had seen Ai Cuihua in person once before. Despite having 2 children, Ai Cuihua still maintained her beautiful looks and youthful charm. She was extremely pretty. Even though the Ai family's status was not high and they were self-employed, the 2 shops run by Ai Yang were profitable. If Ai Cuihua married her brother in the future, all these would become the Zhou family's assets. Therefore, Ai Cuihua was just about a suitable match for her brother. Her brother, not only handsome, also worked at a state-owned enterprise. So many fine young ladies want to marry him. It was Ai Cuihua's luck that he took interest in her. Ai Yang replied, Auntie Zhou, this matter isn't up to me. It depends on what my mother thinks. Zhou Xiaoyan laughed. Just as long as you aren't opposed to your mother finding a partner, then I can rest assured. How about you choose a date for my cousin to meet your mother? Just a harmless meeting. Whatever happens after doesn't matter and wouldn't affect anything. Ai Yang replied, Auntie, I need to discuss this matter with my mother when I get home. If she agrees, then I have no objections. Very good, Zhou Xiaoyan stood up laughing. That's settled then, Yang. When you get home, you must discuss it with your mother. It's not easy for a woman with 2 children to be out there on her own. Without a man to make decisions, you will get bullied in the village. Once your mother and my brother's matter is settled, you can move from the countryside to my brother's townhouse in the city. At that point, we'll all be family. According to our relationship, you should call me aunt. Evidently, Zhou Xiaoyan was becoming happy prematurely, before anything was settled. Because she thought, it is Ai Cuihua who would be marrying up by marrying her brother. After all, Ai Cuihua lacks education and carries 2 burdens, whereas her brother not only completed junior high school, but is also a manager. Only a fool would refuse such an offer. Everything Zhou Xiaoyan said carried a sense of superiority, which made Ai Yang feel uncomfortable. Even before Ai Cuihua married into their family, Zhou Xiaoyan was already behaving like this. If the marriage happens, life wouldn't likely be any easier. Not only was Ai Yang not opposed to Ai Cuihua finding a new partner, she wished for her mother's happiness above all else. An ideal marriage is built on mutual respect. Clearly, Zhou Xiaolian's brother could not offer this kind of respect. Ai Yang frowned unnoticeably. Auntie, you've been overthinking this. The people in our village are all very kind and united, and they take good care of our family. No one in the village will bully us. Zhou Xiaoyan warned earnestly. Yang, you need to be cautious then. Those who don't have a relationship with you but treat you guys so well must be after something. Out of the blue, they could be treating Ai Yang and her mother so nicely. After all, Ai Yang's noodle restaurant and milk tea shop have made a lot of money. Ai Yang responded matter-of-factly, Thank you for your concern, Auntie, but I am capable of discerning right from wrong. Unhappy at the response, Zhou Xiaoyan felt somewhat annoyed. She believed Ai Yang was being ungrateful. Ai Yang had this kind of attitude when she was trying to help her in good faith. If it were not for the money that will soon be owned by her brother, she would not bother to give advice. Forget it. Why should she bother about a junior's matters? Perhaps it was unintentional from Inai Yang. With an unchanged smile on her face, Zhou Xiaolian continued. Yang, then let's leave it at that. Do remember to tell your mother when you go home. I will head back now. Inai Yang stood up to see her out. Goodbye, Auntie. After leaving the noodle restaurant, Inai Yang made a trip to the vegetable market. Sister. This time, Inai Yang met the little flower girl from half a month ago again. No noticeable changes in the little girl after half a month. Even her clothes remained unchanged. Her face was dirty, but her big eyes were still sparkling clear. Sister, are you going to buy flowers today? Inai Yang squatted down to be at the girl's height. Little sister, how old are you this year? 12. Qian Zhaodi replied. 12. For some reason, Inai Yang suddenly remembered her abandoned fourth sister. If the fourth sister was still around, she would be 12 this year too. Inai Yang asked, Where are your parents? Qian Zhaodi responded, They are at home. Do you have any sisters or brothers? Qian Zhaodi shook her head. No sisters, just one younger brother. Inai Yang asked again, Does your brother sell flowers too? No. Qian Zhaodi continued to shake her head. My parents both love my brother a lot. They often hit me. If I don't sell these flowers, they might kill me. Sister, please buy one, please. Looking at Qian Zhaodi, Inai Yang suddenly felt like crying. She felt a pang in her nose. It's because she relates too well to the powerless feeling of being born into a family that favors sons over daughters. In her previous life, and this life's sisters, they have all suffered from this bias. How many flowers do you have left? I'll buy them all. Really? Qian Zhaodi's eyes lit up. Yes. Qian Zhaodi continued. Sister, I've got 30 flowers left. Inai Yang took out 5 yuan and handed it to Qian Zhaodi. Hey, raise 5 yuan. No need to give me any change. From now on, you can wait for me here every night. So sister, you will buy my flowers every night? Inai Yang nodded, then asked, What happened to your face? Qian Zhaodi replied nonchalantly, My brother poured boiling water on it. Chapter 340. Grand Opening. Li Yanren's invitation _1 burned by boiling water? Upon hearing this, Inai Yang's heart clenched tightly. What kind of family would allow their son to scald their daughter's face? Did it hurt? Inai Yang asked. Qian Zhaodi shook her head. It hurt at first, but then it stopped. She had suffered so much at such a young age. This pain was nothing in comparison. Inai Yang let out a soft sigh and handed her the braised pork she had just bought. Take this. The aroma of the braised pork seemed to permeate into Qian Zhaodi's nostrils as she gulped. Sister, is this meat? Inai Yang nodded. Yes, it's meat. Sister, are you giving me all this meat? Qian Zhaodi asked, somewhat uncertain. Thank you, sister. A smile bloomed at the corner of Qian Zhaodi's mouth. Don't mention it. Inai Yang reached out to caress her head. By the way, little sister, what's your name? My name is Qian Zhaodi. Qian Zhaodi. Just from her name, one could tell how much her parents devalued girls in favor of boys. Sister, what's your name? Qian Zhaodi then asked. My name is Inai Yang. Qian Zhaodi smiled and said, Sister, your name is really beautiful. Thank you. Inai Yang continued. Little sister, do you go to school? No. Qian Zhaodi shook her head. But even though I've never been to school, I know a lot of characters and I can even write my name. There was a primary school in the village and Qian Zhaodi would always sneak up to the windows to listen to the teacher's lectures. The children in the classroom would be absent-minded, but Qian Zhaodi was thirsting for knowledge. Seeing that it was getting late, Qian Zhaodi continued. Sister, thank you for the pork. I have to go home now. I'll wait for you here again tomorrow night. Go ahead. Inai Yang waved to her. Be careful on the road. Returning to her secret hideout, Qian Zhaodi pulled out the money hidden in the gaps between the bricks and started counting. Adding the 5 yuan that Inai Yang just gave her, her total savings now amounted to 10 yuan and 3 cents. She had already checked. It cost 28 yuan for a train ticket to the neighboring city. She was still 18 yuan short. On top of that, she would need to live in the neighboring city. By her calculations, she would need at least 100 yuan. She was still far from her goal. Thinking about this, Qian Zhaodi let out a sigh, put the money away, left her hideout, sat at the entrance of the alley, and began to devour the braised pork that Enai Yang had given her. Never in her life had Qian Zhaodi felt so satisfied eating meat. She was rarely even afforded basic porridge or rice. Just then, a happy family of four passed by, chatting and laughing. Watching them, her eyes welled up with tears. If she could, she too would like to have a pair of kind parents, a cute little brother. They wouldn't even have to treat her well, just as long as they didn't hit or scold her like a normal family. What a pity. This wish would never come true in this lifetime. After eating, she wiped her mouth and limped her way home. After going on home, Enai Yang found a bottle to house the camellia, placed it on the coffee table in the living room. The radiant camellia formed a beautiful vista in the living room, filling the air with a faint fragrance. It smelled marvelous. Having finished that, Enai Yang started cooking with Enai Tsuehua tending the fire under the stove. Little Enai Yin was busy playing in a baby carrier, very well behaved. Mom. What's the matter? Choosing her words carefully, Enai Yang continued. Mom, have you ever thought about finding an uncle for Yun and me? Zhou Xiaolian's words from earlier had reminded Enai Yang of something. Enai Tsuehua was only 37, her life ahead still vast. She couldn't remain single forever. The company of her children and a partner were different. Enai Tsuehua was taken aback at first, then said, What are you talking about, child? Your mom's old. If someone heard us, wouldn't it be a joke? Remarriage was something Enai Tsuehua dare not even think about. Enai Yang said, Mom, you're only 37, not 67 or 77. Remarrying is completely normal, right? Don't worry, I'm understanding. I'm not an unreasonable child. At this point, Enai Yang changed her tone and said seriously, Mom, I genuinely hope you can find happiness. Chapter 341. Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _2. At the sound of this, Enai Tsuehua fell momentarily silent. She was fortunate to have such a thoughtful daughter. In other families, when one parent is gone, it's typically hard for children to accept the prospect of a parent remarrying, because they often fear that a stepfather or stepmother may not treat them well. Yet Enai Yang seemed completely indifferent to this, and even voluntarily brought up the matter. Enai Tsuehua continued, Yang, Mom appreciates your concern, but I really haven't given any thought to these things. Your younger sister is still little. Let's revisit this topic when she's a bit older. Enai Yang's career was currently flourishing, and little Enai Yin was only 9 months old. Enai Tsuehua genuinely had no energy to contemplate such messy matters. She should make the most of her opportunity to assist Enai Yang. How could she pursue romance when her daughter is busy and working so hard? Enai Yang added, Mom, Aunt Zhou Xiaoyan mentioned to me today that she has a single brother. From what she said, he seems not bad. Would you like to meet him? Though Enai Yang had some reservations about Zhou Xiaolian's brother, she felt it was nevertheless necessary to discuss this with Enai Tsuehua. After all, it would be up to Enai Tsuehua to pick her partner. No need. Enai Tsuehua refused without hesitation. Enai Yang gave a nod. Okay, I respect your decision. In fact, I also think Zhou Xiaolian's brother doesn't quite seem right. When we encounter an outstanding middle-aged man in the future, I'll definitely keep my eyes open for you. Mom, you should keep your spirits up. Upon hearing this, a momentary blush darted across Enai Tsuehua's face. What are you saying, you silly girl? Not long after, Enai Yang finished cooking 4 dishes. The main course for the night was green bean and lotus leaf porridge. Modern medical research has shown that lotus leaves have beneficial properties such as lowering blood pressure, reducing blood lipids, relieving heat, suppressing bacteria, relieving spasms, and reducing fat. The combination of lotus leaves and green beans is particularly effective for weight loss and body sculpting. It's not sufficient to focus solely on breast enlargement. One needs to attain a perfect body proportion. Enai Yang currently has a great body proportion, and she needs to maintain it. The side dish was mapo tofu. She heated the rapeseed oil, added scallion, ginger, and garlic until fragrant, then added bean paste until the oil turned red. Next, she added spicy hot capsicum, Sichuan pepper, and chili powder. Finally, she tossed in tofu that had been blanched in boiling water. In no time, a mouth-watering aroma of spicy and numbing mapo tofu filled the room. The spicy and numbing sensation was irresistible. With this bowl of mapo tofu, one could consume several bowls of green bean and lotus leaf porridge. Furthermore, tofu has the property of boosting metabolism, which can contribute to longevity. Next, she prepared sautéed lamb liver with eel. Eel contains components such as vitamin A and lecithin, all of which are beneficial to hormonal secretion and essential for breast development. Therefore, during puberty, it's crucial for girls to consume more eel to achieve breast enlargement. Winter melon stew with black fish. The combination of black fish and winter melon has great blood circulation promoting and liver and kidney nourishing effects, making it a particularly beneficial dish for women. The final side dish was spicy pickled cowpeas. For dinner, there were 3 stir-fried dishes and a pickled dish, which made for a highly satisfying meal for the 3 of them. The next day, just as Anai Yang arrived at her shop, Zhou Xiaolian showed up. Yang, did you tell your mom about what we discussed yesterday? I did. Anai Yang replied honestly, but my mom isn't currently considering anything in that regard. Auntie, thank you for your kindness, but it seems that there's no destined connection between your brother and my mom. Was this a rejection? Zhou Xiaolian looked at Anai Yang, somewhat incredulous. With such great prospects, how could Anai Yang refuse her brother? Could it be that Anai Yang felt superior because she owned a few shops and looked down on her brother? What did ownership of a few shops amount to? A petty proprietor could never compare to her brother, who was a high-ranking official. Or could it be that Anai Yang didn't tell Anai Tsuehua about this at all? Yes, that must be it. This seemingly sensible girl was far more cunning than she appeared. Afraid that her mother might treat her badly after getting married, she decided to deceive them all. With a smile remaining on her face, Zhou Xiaolian said, "All right, I understand. I'll be heading back then. Take care, Auntie." The moment Zhou Xiaolian returned to her shop, her husband Li Yinsheng came out to meet her. How did it go? Did you arrange everything? Zhou Xiaolian shook her head. Li Yinsheng said, I told you earlier, don't harbor unrealistic hopes. With the income her shop brings in each month, do you think she would consider your brother? With that, Li Yinsheng showed 2 fingers to signify a monetary amount. Chapter 342. Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _3. Zhou Xiaolian continued. It's not an issue with the women per se, but entirely with that girl Anai Yang. I believe Anai Yang hasn't even talked to her mother about this. Plus, I wouldn't introduce her to my brother if she couldn't earn some money in a month. Besides considering her elder brother's interest, Zhou Xiaolian had her own ulterior motives. After all, everyone is inherently selfish. She coveted Anai Yang's recipe. The recipe for pickled fish noodles and milk tea. Once her brother marries Anai Tsuehua, she and Anai Yang would become part of the same family, and naturally, there would be no secrets. Once she has the recipes for pickled fish and milk tea, she would just need to sit at home and collect money. All right, enough with the nonsense. Li Yinsheng said impatiently, your brother isn't lacking in potential brides. Why are you so concerned for him? I'm his sister. How can I not worry? Zhou Xiaolian glared at Li Yinsheng. I need to go to my mother. And you stay here and look after the shop. Li Yinsheng could only shake his head helplessly. Zhou Xiaolian went straight back to her parents' house. Her family was well off. Both her parents were retired directors of a factory. Although her only brother was devoid of a wife, he had a good job, a dependable livelihood, a high salary, and often had some extra perks. This was why so many eligible women were willing to marry him. After hearing Zhou Xiaolian's plan, her mother Ji Muden fussed. What kind of joke is this? There are so many young ladies ready to marry your brother, and he doesn't need them. You're introducing a widow with 2 children to him. Xiaolian, don't you care about your brother anymore? Given that her son was accomplished, Ji Muden as a mother felt proud. Moreover, they came from a family of salaried employees. How could they marry a self-employed woman? Zhou Xiaolian smiled and said, Mom, don't look down on self-employed people. The woman I want to introduce to my brother owns 4 shops. She earns at least 20,000 yuan a month. When combined, your dad's and brother's income is still less than what she earns in a month, isn't it? 20,000. That's over 200,000 a year. Ji Muden was a bit shocked but still retorted. What does it matter how much money she earns? Our family doesn't lack money. While the Zhou family was not immensely rich, they were not short of money either. Zhou Xiaolian continued. With more money, future kids could study abroad, we could move to a bigger house, hire a few nannies to serve you. Doesn't that sound good? Ji Muden seemed slightly tempted at this. What you said seems somewhat reasonable. What does this woman look like? Zhou Xiaolian responded. Her looks leave nothing to be desired. How about you come with me tomorrow and see for yourself? All right. Ji Muden nodded. Even though Enai Yang had already declined this meeting, Zhou Xiaolian still wouldn't give up. Enai Yang's noodle restaurant and milk tea shop would open tomorrow, and Enai Tsuehua, her mother, would certainly appear. By then they would definitely see Enai Tsuehua. Zhou Xiaolian felt that as long as she could convince Ji Muden, her acquiescent brother, who always listened to his mother's words, wouldn't be a problem. As for Enai Tsuehua, she saw no obstacle there. With her brother's great conditions, only a fool would object. She didn't think Enai Tsuehua was a fool. After settling things with Ji Muden, Zhou Xiaolian returned home satisfied. The next day, Enai Yang went to the noodle restaurant early in the morning. Just as she arrived, she saw workers laying out red carpets and arranging flowers in front of the noodle restaurant and milk tea shop. Could it be that Mo Qishan had returned? Enai Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Other than Mo Qishan, no one else would give her these things. Just as she thought this, Wu Daming ran over from the side. Sister Yan, oh no. Sister-in-law, you're here. Wu Daming. Enai Yang looked at the man in surprise. Wu Daming said, Sister-in-law, my sixth bro isn't in the country, so he couldn't come here in person. He asked me to bring these things. Sixth sister-in-law? This address made Enai Yang's cheeks flush slightly. You have to admit, Mo Qishan really is a qualified boyfriend. Thank you. By the way, when will brother Mo probably return? If you calculate, Mo Qishan has been out for about a month now. Wu Daming, this straight man, directly replied, Sister-in-law, do you miss my sixth bro? Enai Yang. How should she respond to that? Wu Daming continued, also sister-in-law, I've received the sterile equipment you asked about last time. When do you want it? Chapter 343. Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _4. At this time, all of the sterile equipment was imported from abroad. Enai Yang didn't expect Wu Daming would get the goods in such a short period of time. That was quite a feat. Enai Yang thought for a moment and then said, probably around June or July. Can you temporarily store it on your end? Sure, of course. My place is big enough. Wu Daming quickly nodded and casually glanced at his wristwatch. Sister-in-law, I will have it delivered to you at the end of June. If he dared to say it was inconvenient, Mo Qishan would definitely give him a taste of hell when he got back. Enai Yang nodded. Then he'll have to trouble you. By the way, how much does this equipment cost? No trouble at all, not at all. It's an honor for me to be of service to you, sis-in-law. This set of equipment costs a total of 2,000 yuan. All right. Wu Daming then said, Sis-in-law, while my brother isn't in Beijing, if you encounter any trouble, you can contact me at any time. Erase my number. After he said that, Wu Daming gave Enai Yang a small note. All right, thank you. Wu Daming looked at his watch and said, we're all family here, sis-in-law. You don't have to be so polite with me. If nothing else, I should go now. Mo Qishan had made it clear, under any non-urgent circumstances, he was not to spend more than 15 minutes with Enai Yang. It's already been 12 minutes, he should make his leave. Just as Wu Daming left, Li Yanran, who was holding 2 paintings, came over. Yang. In a few days, it was the grand opening of Enai Yang's branch. As her good friend, she naturally had to come and show support. Yanran. Yang, Li Yanran handed Enai Yang a gold-framed painting. I'm gifting you this 4 seasons of prosperity. May your business prosper and bring you wealthy profits. Enai Yang accepted it. Thank you, Yanran. Li Yanran said with a smile. We're good friends, so don't mention it. Let's go hang it in the shop. All right. And Aiyang nodded, leading Li Yanran inside. Li Yanran looked at the decor of the milk tea shop. All admiration was on her face. Yang, your milk tea shop is beautifully decorated. The entrance was made of glass, wooden flooring. Each table had some small green plants decorating it. It looked entirely fresh and natural, inexplicably improving one's mood and giving off a foreign vibe. Needless to say, Aiyang really did have a touch of grace. Aiyang placed a cup of milk tea in front of Li Yanran, smiling. Thank you for the compliment. Li Yanran took a big sip of the milk tea and then said, This Saturday, I'm hosting a party at my place. I'd like to invite you to join. Sure. Aiyang nodded without hesitation. Given Li Yanran's treatment of her as a friend, she naturally wouldn't decline her friend's kind invitation. Great. Li Yanran held her milk tea in one hand and clung to Aiyang's arm with the other. Remember to come, okay? Aiyang smiled and said, Don't worry, Yanran, I always keep my promises. Li Yanran continued. Then I'll wait for you at home this Saturday. Originally, Li Yanran wanted to remind Aiyang to dress up a bit, but after thinking about it, with Aiyang's natural beauty, she wouldn't even need to. She would be the most dazzling presence regardless. At 6 in the morning, coupled with the sound of firecrackers, the milk tea shop and noodle restaurant officially opened. The merchants who were prepared to watch the hype were all startled. The milk tea shop and noodle restaurant Aiyang ran, contrary to expectations, were not deserted but quite busy instead. They even had a customer queue. What happened to the anticipated bad feng shui for these two businesses? Where was the guarantee that these two shops would shut down after Aiyang took over? An elder who had previously advised Aiyang against buying the two shops, holding on to his crutch, said, This is weird. I've lived a whole life, have never seen such an odd thing. Could it really be that this young girl's life is harder than the heavens decree? Even feng shui couldn't impact her? Zhou Xiaolian and Ji Mudan also stood within the curious crowd. Ji Mudan impatiently said, We've been standing here for so long. Which one is that widow you spoke of? Zhou Xiaolian looked at the long queue, full of envy. If only all these customers were hers. No, she must move quickly on settling this marriage proposal. Zhou Xiaolian frowned and said, Please don't refer to her as widow all the time. It sounds so crude. She's going to be your daughter-in-law. Ji Mudan scoffed, Xiaolian, don't jump to conclusions. Whether she can become a part of the Zhou family all depends on my judgment. Remember, I am not the type of person who would bow down for the sake of 3 pecks of rice. Chapter 344. Grand Opening, Li Yanran's Invitation _5. People in leadership positions always have an air of arrogance about them. Let alone the Ji Mudan family, where almost everyone is a small-time leader. Just then, Zhou Xiaolian's eyes lit up as she pointed towards the side of the road, exclaiming, Here she comes. Mom, look, that's Aiyang's mother. Doesn't she look quite decent? Which one? Zhou Xiaolian continued. The one in the blue jacket, carrying a child. She still has such a small child. Ji Mudan frowned. No, I cannot approve of this marriage. You're not seriously suggesting that your brother should raise someone else's child, Xiaolian? Zhou Xiaolian chuckled. Don't worry, they're wealthy. They won't need my brother to raise their kid. Mom, don't you think she's quite attractive? Ji Mudan scrutinized the woman carefully, then announced, She looks just like a vixen. Women like that can't handle a proper household. A flabbergasted Zhou Xiaolian asked, Mom, how do you know she can't handle a household? Ji Mudan responded, Just look at how colorful her clothes are. How many widows do you see dressed like that? There wasn't a man left in the house, yet she failed to pay attention to her dressing style. In any case, Ji Mudan did not approve of this potential daughter-in-law. Zhou Xiaolian carried on. But they're rich. So what if they are? Besides, earning 20,000 yuan a month isn't much. For someone of your brother's caliber, finding a woman who earns 20,000 yuan a month is child's play. Zhou Xiaolian had been mentally rolling her eyes countless times. This old lady compared 20,000 yuan to 20 yuan as if it was nothing. It's like she thinks the Zhou family has their own golden mountain. Though her brother was quite eligible, Finding a woman who earns 20,000 yuan a month and also looks decent was not as easy as she made it out to be. The more Ji Muden looked at Enai Tsuehua, the more she found her disagreeable, her brows furrowing tightly. Mom, she's actually a very decent person. Should I invite her over for a chat? Zhou Xiaolian wasn't ready to give up yet. Go ahead. Ji Muden eventually relented, unable to resist the allure of the 20,000 yuan. Walking up to Enai Tsuehua, Zhou Xiaolian warmly greeted her. Big sister, congratulations. Yang surely made you proud. Enai Tsuehua smiled and replied, thank you. Zhou Xiaolian took Enai Kuihua's arm. Come big sister, let's go chat over there. As Enai Tsuehua neared, Ji Muden adjusted her clothes and hair, appearing ready to play the part of a mother-in-law scrutinizing her would-be daughter-in-law. For this encounter, Ji Muden had specifically chosen to wear her finest clothes, looking to outshine her potential adversary. Big sister, this is my mother. Zhou Xiaolian brought her along to Ji Muden. While maintaining her composure, Ji Muden looked Enai Tsuehua up and down. Despite Enai Tsuehua being wealthy, the Zhou family was a working-class household, so in terms of social status, Enai Tsuehua was marrying up. Hello, madam. Enai Tsuehua politely greeted her. Madam? Ji Muden subtly wrinkled her brow. Goodness, what an outdated formality. Wasn't this only used by rural people? How could the Zhou family allow such a woman to marry into their home? Like a stern school principal, Ji Muden asked, What's your name? How old are you? Enai Tsuehua furrowed her brows slightly. What was this old woman trying to imply? Who begins a conversation by asking such questions? With a hint of apology, Enai Tsuehua replied, I'm sorry, but I need to return to the shop. I'll leave now. Once she finished speaking, Enai Tsuehua, cradling little Enai Yun, took her leave. Ji Muden was so enraged. She was practically hopping mad. What kind of attitude is that? Is that how she plans to treat her future mother-in-law? Giving me the cold shoulder even before she's married in. God knows what'll happen once they're married. A speechless Zhou Xiaolian replied, Mom, you have to admit that you were out of line just now. Why did you even start off with such questions? You could have gone about it more subtly. People like her don't deserve to step through the doors of the Zhou family. Just because she has a little money, she thinks she's something special. Ji Muden had a deep disdain for the rich. Zhou Xiaolian continued, Mom, please calm down. Things aren't as bad as you're making it out to be. Let me go talk to her. We haven't even married her into the family yet. You can start teaching her once they're married and have their certificate. Then she'll be all yours to deal with. Zhou Xiaolian caught up to Enai Tsuehua and quickly apologized. Big sister, I'm sorry about my mother. She was a bit abrupt just now, but please don't take it to heart. Hey Race, what's going on? You see, I have a brother. Chapter 345, Grand Opening, Li Yanren's Invitation _6. Zhou Xiaolian was afraid that Enai Yang hadn't told Enai Tsuehua about the matter, so she explained it all over again, and specially boasted about how capable her brother was, and that they were all from working families. Enai Tsuehua replied, Big sister, thank you for your kindness. But I was born a peasant woman. I'm afraid I'm not match for your brother. Besides, I have no plans to remarry right now. Zhou Xiaolian didn't get the rejection in Enai Kuihua's words, and hastily said, You are a match, a perfect match. As the old saying goes, when marrying, marry a virtuous wife. Big sister, even though your personal condition is not as good as my brother's, I can tell you are quite virtuous. It's good that Enai Tsuehua knows her worth and realizes she's not a match for her brother. Enai Tsuehua continued, I'm sorry, big sister, you should go find someone else. Zhou Xiaolian continued, Big sister, you don't need to worry about other issues. My mother may have a foul mouth, but she means well. Once you married into our family, just sit and enjoy your blessings. Enai Tsuehua found Zhou Xiaolian to be too persistent, so she said bluntly, Big sister, let me tell you the truth, I have no plans to remarry. After that, Enai Tsuehua turned and went into the shop. This time, Zhou Xiaolian understood what Enai Tsuehua meant. So she thinks her brother is not good enough? Ha! What a big appetite. A widow who nobody wanted, and she's still so picky. She really thinks she can marry into a good family. Zhou Xiaolian walked back to Ji Mudan with a complex expression. Ji Mudan said, Xiaolian, let me make it clear to you. Firstly, I absolutely will not coax her. Secondly, I must make her apologize for her attitude just now. Otherwise, she can forget about marrying into our Zhou family in this lifetime. Zhou Xiaolian was also furious. She retorted, You don't allow her to marry in our family? She might not even want our family. What? Ji Mudan widened her eyes in disbelief. She's picky about our family? Does she know what a working family is? Zhou Xiaolian sighed. Mother, it's not about whether you accept her or not now. Forget it. No use talking more anyway. There's absolutely no hope for this matter. Ji Mudan was furious upon hearing that Inai Cuihua didn't fancy her son. I was the one who didn't fancy her first. Just a widow. Can't my son find whatever kind of girl he wants? I'm sure that woman is just pretending she doesn't like us because she's afraid of losing face. Ji Mudan muttered angrily. She almost cursed Inai Cuihua's ancestors. Just then Zhou Xiaolian saw something. Mother, isn't that my aunt? In the distance, a young man and a woman were helping an older woman with white hair towards Inai Yang's noodle restaurant. Ji Mudan immediately stopped muttering and looked over. It is your aunt. Let's go over and say hello. Ji Mudan changed her condescending attitude and became overly kind and affable as she walked to the trio. Ah, isn't this my little aunt? What brings you here? Xiaolian's shop is just nearby. I hope you, Xiaoxiu, and Cici can come and sit. Zhou Xiaolian followed behind her and said, Aunt, I haven't seen you for years, and Xiaoxiu and Cici too. Since you're here today, you must dine at my place before you leave. With the mother and daughter being so enthusiastic, everyone could tell that this old lady was not an ordinary person. In fact, the old lady was indeed extraordinary. This old lady was the mother of Shangguan Dehui, and the grandmother of Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi. The Shangguan family was just like the Mo family. Both were prestigious families that had stood for centuries. Shangguan's old lady squinted slightly. I'm sorry, as one grows old, the memory is not as good as before. May I ask who you are? The Zhou family and the Shangguan family were at best distant relatives. This distant relationship traced back to the sister of Shangguan's old lady, whose son's wife's cousin's sister-in-law's daughter was related. So it was normal that the old lady didn't recognize Ji Mudan and her daughter. Ji Mudan introduced herself formally. Listening from the side, Shangguan Su was afraid that Ji Mudan would suffocate from talking too much without being able to catch her breath. Such a distant relationship, and they still dared to recognize relatives randomly. How audacious. Indeed, poor people in a bustling city find no one paying attention to them, while the rich in the remote mountains have distant relatives. After listening for half a day, Shangguan's old lady still couldn't figure out what relationship Ji Mudan and her daughter had with their family. She turned her head and looked at Shangguan Su. Little Cici, let's hurry up and get in line. I'm telling you, the noodles at this place are really delicious. She had seen too many people recognizing relatives out of nowhere, like the people in front of her. The three of them walked towards the noodle restaurant. Ji Mudan stepped forward and said, Little aunt, noodles are not nutritious. Why don't we go to Xiaolian's shop? Let her cook something delicious and serve you properly. Zhou Xiaolian quickly added, Yes, auntie, let me cook something yummy, to serve you properly. The Shangguan family was a true prestigious family. Who wouldn't want to be related to them? Otherwise, would Ji Mudan be so humble? Ever since she became a leader, Ji Mudan had never bent over. Today was the first. Shangguan's old lady calmly said, The two of you. I am not your aunt. I do not know you, please do not follow us anymore. After saying that, the three of them went directly into the noodle restaurant and started lining up. Ji Mudan sighed. The old lady of such a big family is indeed different. She's already so old, yet her mind is still so sharp. If Shangguan's old lattice mind could be a little more muddled, maybe today she could have recognized her as her niece. There were many people eating in the restaurant. Shangguan, she said, Grandma, brother, you line up here. I'll go next door to buy milk tea. Brother, do you want fully sweetened or half sweetened? Shangguan Su didn't understand what full or half sweet meant for a moment. Shangguan, she explained, You like it sweeter or milder? Shangguan Su said, half-sweetened is fine. Cece, I want a sweeter one. Shangguan's old lady looked at Shangguanshi pitifully. Shangguanshi was quite determined. Grandma, doctor he said you have to eat less sweet. Chapter 346. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qianjiaodi under for one. Why can't I eat sweets anymore? Elderly Madame Shangguan became worried as soon as she heard she couldn't have sweets anymore. Granny, you have diabetes, so eating too many sweets is bad for your health. Elderly Madame Shangguan started to play dumb in order to eat sweets. Since when do I have diabetes? I don't remember having diabetes at all. I don't care. I want to drink something sweet. Old baby, once you grow old, you revert to being a child. Shangguanshi, feeling helpless, said. Granny, have you forgotten what the doctor told you? If you eat too much sugar, it will make your condition worse. Those damn idiots only know how to exaggerate the dangers. Elderly Madame Shangguan grumbled unhappily. I've been eating sugar all my life, and now that I'm old, they suddenly won't let me eat any. This year, elderly Madame Shangguan is already 88 years old. Apart from a slight case of diabetes, she's still robust. Cece, your grandmother's good grandson. Will you let me have something sweet to drink? Elderly Madame Shangguan held on to Shangguanzai's clothing, begging for sweet food with a childish charm. Just once, Granny promises only once, and Granny swears it. Elderly Madame Shangguan raised 3 of her fingers. Granny, it doesn't matter if you swear 5 times. You really can't eat anything too sweet. Elderly Madame Shangguan grunted lightly. Are you still Granny's good grandson? Shangguanshi smiled and said. Granny, I'm going to get you milk tea now. Elderly Madame Shangguan proudly lifted her face, ignoring Shangguanshi completely. Although there's a line waiting for milk tea as well, the speed at which the cups are served is much faster than for noodles, so Shangguanshi quickly returned with 3 cups of milk tea. Granny, this is yours, this is my brother's. This one's mine. Elderly Madame Shangguan pointed at Shangguanzai's cup and said, Young fellow, I want to drink this one. No, Shangguanshi shook his head. This one's mine is full sugar. Why is yours full sugar and mine half sugar? Shangguanshi with a helpless tone. Granny, you need to listen to the doctor's advice. Elderly Madame Shangguan was indignant. I've never listened to anyone in my life, not even your grandfather. Why should I listen to that brat doctor? Shangguanshi quickly inserted the straw into his cup and drank a large gulp of milk tea. I've already had a sip, Granny, do you still want it? Elderly Madame Shangguan distastefully. Who wants your leftovers? I have my own. The trio had been in line for a while. Their cups of milk tea were almost finished by the time they got to their seats. What would you all like to eat? A soft, familiar voice came from above. That voice seemed vaguely familiar. Shangguansu looked up and saw a familiar face. Yang? Is that you? Mr. Shangguan. Yang gave a soft smile. Shangguanshi and elderly Madame Shangguan both looked at Yang with awe in their eyes. My goodness! This young lady is too beautiful. Elderly Madame Shangguan felt she was more lovely than changed from the stories. Shangguanzai's gaze swung from Shangguansu to Yang and back. A faint smile played at the corners of her mouth. There aren't many people who can prompt her brother to initiate a greeting. Shangguansu asked promptly, Is this noodle restaurant yours? Yes. Yang nodded. No wonder Yang could have savings close to 6 figures in the bank. Shangguansu then ordered. Would like 2 bowls of pickled vegetable noodles and 1 bowl of beef noodles, along with a plate of Kanto stew. The beef noodles and Kanto stew are both new items on the menu. Yang nodded. Okay. Elderly Madame Shangguan looked at Yang, then spoke gently. Young lady, I would like my pickled vegetable noodles to be spicy, and the Kanto stew should be on the spicier side as well. This young lady is becoming more lovely the more I look at her, like a blooming flower. Shangguanshi immediately protested. Granny, you can't eat anything too spicy. Sister, don't listen to my granny, we will take everything with normal flavors. Elderly Madame Shangguan immediately started to act the drama queen. They won't let me have sweets, now they won't let me eat spicy foods. What's the point of living as an old woman like me? And Yang smiled and said, chilies are rich in vitamins A, B, C, E, K, and also carotene, folic acid, and so on. A moderate intake of chili can help the body expel toxins, speed up metabolism, increase sweating, adjust body functions, and can also have a detoxifying effect. Moreover, it can help to extend one's life. Granny, don't worry, I will adjust the level of chili for you according to your health condition. Chapter 347. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qianzhaodi_2. Yang's remarks completely astonished the 3 generations at the table. Ordinary people wouldn't know so much about chili peppers. Chili peppers are a very common vegetable in daily life, and people only know that they're spicy and appetizing. Other than doctors and nutritionists, few people are aware of its numerous benefits. If she understands even chili peppers so clearly, just how vast is her knowledge? After witnessing Yang's fluent French, Shangguan Su was astounded by her for the second time. She resembled the calm, placid deep sea. You'd never know what treasures lay beneath the surface. Each revelation bringing a unique surprise. Young lady, you're impressive. Sparks practically twinkled in the old lady Shangguan's eyes. You outshine my 2 turtle-like grandkids by a mile. I like you. Old Madame Shangguan was a very cute old lady. To her, all people are equal, and she didn't look down on individual practitioners, nor would she discriminate against anyone because of their occupations. Yang smiled gently. You're too kind, ma'am. After settling on the food order, Yang went to take orders from the other tables. Old Madame Shangguan looked at Shangguan Su slyly. Xiaoxiu, what is the name of this young lady? Yang, Shangguan Su explained. I is a single person, and yang like smoke rising from warm jade under the sun. Lantian jade is a type of pale blue jade with a hint of light green. When sunlight shines upon it, a hazy blue mist arises akin to smoke, creating an ethereal landscape. Shangguanxi exclaimed, wow, what a beautiful name. Truly her name matches her. Old Madame Shangguan continued. How many people are in the young lattice family? How old is she this year? Tongue-tied, Shangguan Su retorted. Are you the director of the Family Planning Bureau doing a census? Old Madame Shangguan sighed. How can such a pretty girl not be my granddaughter? If she were my granddaughter, I'd go into the temple to burn incense every day. Shangguan Su, Shangguanxi. Is it really okay for you to disdain your own grandchildren like this? Soon, Yang brought over 3 bowls of noodles and a portion of Kanto stew. It smells so good. Old Madame Shangguan rubbed her hands together impatiently. Careful, it's hot. This is your complimentary dish. Okay, thank you, young lady. Old Madame Shangguan continued. Young lady, I heard others calling you Yang. May I call you that as well? Old Madame Shangguan had her own plans and naturally wanted to get on good terms with Yang. Moreover, she genuinely liked Yang. Yang nodded. Of course. Old Madame Shangguan smiled. Yang, thank you for putting up with an old woman like me. Then I'll call you Yang too. Shangguanxi introduced herself cheerfully. Yang, my name is Shangguanxi, and Shangguan Su is my brother. Just call me Cici. Yang being straightforward responded, Cici. Shangguan Su, going by this trend, shouldn't Yang call him Xiu? But before Yang got to call him Xiu, she went off to take orders for other tables. Old Madame Shangguan stirred her bowl. This is my first time eating beef noodles. You guys should try the pickled vegetable noodles. They're really delicious. Shangguanxi took a whiff. Indeed it smells delicious. Old Madame Shangguan pouted. Of course. Would I have brought you all here if the food was bad? Old Madame Shangguan was an experienced foodie. After tasting a bite of the pickled vegetable noodles, Shangguanxi gasped. Oh my gosh! It really is delicious. No wonder Grandma sneaks here every day to eat. Feeling guilty, old Madame Shangguan rubbed her nose. I don't sneak here to eat every day. Seeing them react this way, Shangguan Su decided to have a bite too. The taste was truly astonishing. The beef noodles are delicious too. Old Madame Shangguan plucked a pickled vegetable noodle from Shangguan Zai's bowl. Let me try your pickled vegetable noodles. Then you need to let me try your beef noodles too. The grandmother and granddaughter sampled the noodles from each other's bowls. Although all three of them had tasted exotic delicacies, these 3 bowls of noodles still amazed them. This fascinating sensation could only be understood by those who tasted it firsthand. When leaving, old Madame Shangguan specifically told Yang goodbye. Yang, we're heading home. The restaurant was quite busy, with Yang hardly taking a break. But she always carried a slight smile on her face. Even though she seemed never to tire, her smile was contagious, even making Shangguan Su unconsciously smile back. Chapter 348. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi_3. Take care, goodbye. Yang saw the trio to the door. Goodbye, Yang. Shangguan Shi waved at Yang. Goodbye. Once out of the noodle restaurant, Shangguan Shi tugged at Shangguan Zu's sleeve. Brother, that girl Yang is quite impressive. She's well-mannered and cultured, just like a young lady of a noble family. The Shangguan matriarch nodded repeatedly. Indeed, she is quite impressive. You need to put in effort, Xiaoxiu. The grandmother also made a cute cheering gesture. Shangguan Su replied. Grandmother, what are you thinking? The matriarch glanced at him. What am I thinking? Of course, I'm considering my future granddaughter-in-law. Shangguan Su was speechless. Grandmother, you're thinking too much. Perhaps. The matriarch nodded in agreement. There's no way a beautiful girl like Yang would be interested in you. She's not blind. When one gets old, it's easier to let the mind wander. Shangguan Su. I really am your grandson. Indeed, the matriarch proudly replied. If you weren't my grandson, you wouldn't have the privilege of my criticism. Shangguan Su. Shangguan Shi chuckled. Brother, seriously, you have to try harder. Yang is exceptional, she must have a lot of suitors. Shangguan Su replied. We are just friends and I don't have any other intentions. Really? Shangguan Shi arched an eyebrow. Really? Shangguan Su responded earnestly. The Shangguan grandmother sighed. Even if you had other intentions, Yang wouldn't be interested in you. If I were Yang, I wouldn't be interested in you either. I would look for someone tall, handsome and rich. Someone more handsome than Tony Liang Chu Y. At this time, the 1984 version of Dear Cauldron, starring Tony Liang Chu Y, had just come out. The show was a hit and gained a group of dedicated fans, and the Shangguan matriarch was one of them. Shangguan Su. This is really my grandmother. After the noodle restaurant closed for the night, Yang went to the vegetable market. As soon as she got to the market, she saw Zhaodi holding a bright red camellia flower, and looking around expectantly. Zhaodi. Sister Yang. When she saw Yang, Zhaodi's eyes gleamed with delight. In the dark, bleak days, Yang had become her only salvation, her only light, illuminating her path forward. Zhaodi, this is for you. Yang handed her a prepared lunchbox. Thank you, sis. You're welcome. Yang patted her on the head and took 5 yuan out from her pocket. This is for your expenses today. Zhaodi took the money and hesitated a bit before saying, Sister Yang, you don't have to give me 5 yuan every day. Yang smiled subtly. It's fine, take it. After parting ways with Yang, Zhaodi went back to her secret hideaway, sitting at the entrance of the alley, carefully opening the lunchbox, filled with fish slices, noodles, meatballs, and vegetables. Zhaodi took a bite of the noodles and narrowed her eyes in content. So delicious. She had never eaten such delicious noodles in her life. After finishing the noodles and hiding the money, Zhaodi headed home, hobbling. When she got home, Qian Shengqian, Zhao Xiaoxi, and Qian Wangkai had already had dinner, leaving her a bowl of cold rice soup. Zhaodi gulped down the soup and went back to her room. It was more of a pigsty than a room, with a faint smell of stench still lingering in the air. Zhaodi didn't mind. She reached under the bed and pulled out a peach pit. The pit was small and red, and one side already had a small notch from being rubbed against the ground. Zhaodi took the pit and began rubbing the other side on the ground. If she could smooth the other side, the pit could be shaped like a small vegetable basket. Just then, the door was kicked harshly open. Before Zhaodi could react, her hair was roughly grabbed. Qian Shengqian dragged Zhaodi outside. You little beast. You're getting bold now. Even learned to steal money. Dad, I did not steal any money. Dare to argue, do you? Zhao Xiaoxi approached with a rolling pin, striking Zhaotis back forcefully. Qian Shengqian also ridiculed Zhaodi with punches and kicks. The couple was ruthless, showing no mercy. You little slut! How dare you steal my money? Do you want to die? This will teach you to steal. This will teach you. Chapter 349. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi_4. Qian Zhaodi cried out. I didn't steal the money, I didn't. But Qian Shengqian and Zhao Xiaoxi didn't give her any chance to explain. In no time, they had beaten Qian Zhaodi until she was black and blue. While feasting on a large chicken thigh, Qian Wangkai clapped and cheered. It's her who stole. Beat up this money-wasting brat to death. So it wasn't you who stole? Zhao Xiaoxi spoke cruelly. Then where's my money? Was it stolen by a ghost? You little parasite, I'll beat you to death today. Qian Zhaodi's heart-wrenching cries attracted the neighbors. What on earth did the child do wrong to deserve such a beating from you? If you keep beating her like this, someone might end up dead. The person speaking was an old woman with white hair. Grandma Gu. Qian Zhaodi hid behind Grandma Gu in fear. Zhao Xiaoxi stood with her hands on her hips. You think we want to hit her? This little parasite, she's even learned how to steal money now. I didn't, Grandma Gu, I didn't. Qian Zhaodi shook her head, her face streaming with tears. Good child, Grandma believes you. Grandma Gu wiped the tears from Qian Zhaodi's face and continued. Shengqian Xiaoxi, listen to my advice. You must do good deeds to have good outcomes. If you are unwilling to keep Zhaodi, you can give her to me to raise. You want to raise her? Give me money, Qian Shengqian said. How much do you want? Grandma Gu replied. Qian Shengqian said, by the standard of 1,000 yuan per year for 12 years, you should give me 12,000 yuan. 12,000? At that time, a farmer's annual income was just over 100. 12,000 was astronomically high. Qian Shengqian was simply asking for an exorbitant amount. Qian Shengqian continued. If you don't have the money, stay out of my family's business. Even if a life is lost, it's my own family matter, none of your business. You little parasite, come here. He was Qian Zhaodi's father. Even if he killed Qian Zhaodi, no one could do anything to him. Qian Shengqian dragged Qian Zhaodi into the house and shut the door to continue beating her. Desolate howling noises kept coming from inside the house. Oh, what a sin. Grandma Gu sighed and shook her head. The couple kept beating Zhaodi for a whole 20 minutes, only stopping when she passed out. Qian Wangkai walked over and kicked Qian Zhaodi. Mom, has this money waster died yet? Just then, a large renminbi bill fell out of Qian Wangkai's pocket. Qian Wangkai's eyes widened in shock. Zhao Xiaoxi picked up the bill, surprised. Isn't this the 10 yuan I lost? Wangkai, how did it end up with you? As she suspected the money was stolen by Qian Zhaodi, Zhao Xiaoxi put a mark on each bill. So she recognized at a glance that it was her money. Qian Wangkai immediately burst into tears. He was very wronged. Qian Shengqian said, Why are you angry at our son? Is it just about 10 yuan? Zhao Xiaoxi bent down to pick up Qian Wangkai, soothing him. Wangkai, I'm sorry. Mom didn't mean it. Don't cry. If you want money, you can ask Mom. Why did you have to steal it? The couple took their son back to their bedroom without even taking a second glance at Qian Zhaodi, who lay unconscious on the floor. Even though Qian Zhaodi had fainted, she continued to tightly grip the peach pit in her hand. After Enai Yang returned, she began studying the burn ointment. She had observed carefully, although Qian Zhaodi's burns looked terrifying, they were not very severe. Moreover, Qian Zhaodi was still young. As long as she used the medicine in time, she would recover completely. In fact, Enai Yang had started developing the burn ointment the first time she saw Qian Zhaodi. It just lacked a few steps to complete. The next day, Enai Yang found Qian Zhaodi holding a camellia flower at the entrance of the market as usual. But unlike usual, Qian Zhaodi was covered in wounds today. Zhaodi, what happened to you? Enai Yang got a shock. It's nothing. Qian Zhaodi gave a slight smile. My parents did this. Enai Yang frowned slightly. Why would they hit you? They were too harsh. Qian Zhaodi nonchalantly said, I'm used to it, sister. You don't need to be surprised. And Yang held Qian Zhaoda's hand. Come with me to my shop. I'll apply ointment for you. Child abuse is a crime. I'll take you to the police. Chapter 350. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi 5. No need. Qian Zhaodi shook her head. It's not hurting anymore. Calling the police? That would be useless. As long as she lived in this house, she would never be able to escape this fate. The neighbors had tried to help by calling the police before. But after the police detained Qian Shengqian, the abuse she received escalated. Since then, no one dared to help her call the police anymore. Sister, if you really want to help me, there is something I want to ask of you. Qian Zhaodi lifted her gaze towards Yang, hesitating to continue. Yang said, Zhaodi, don't be afraid. Just speak openly. As long as it's something I can assist with, it'll definitely help. Qian Zhaodi hesitated for a moment and then said, Sister, could you lend me some money? Yang asked, How much do you need? I need to borrow 100 yuan, is that okay? When she said this, Qian Zhaodi's voice gradually lowered. 100 yuan was not a small sum. Would Yang lend it to her, who was only 12 years old? It seemed unlikely, right? Qian Zhaodi bit her lip. Yang reached into her pocket and said, I have 235 yuan left here. You can take it all. Before going to the vegetable market, Yang had put away all the day's profit, leaving just 261 yuan for spending. She had just spent 26 yuan on groceries, so she had 235 yuan left. Although she didn't know what Qian Zhaodi needed the money for, she knew that Qian Zhaodi must desperately need this money, otherwise, she would not have asked for it. Moreover, Qian Zhaodi and Yang shared the same fate. Seeing Qian Zhaodi reminded Yang of her own past, she couldn't bear to reject her. Qian Zhaodi clutched the 230 yuan tightly in her hand, swallowing hard before saying, Sister, thank you. Yang then handed over the bag of noodles to Qian Zhaodi. Zhaodi, here are some noodles. There's also a tube of burn ointment in the bag. Apply it on your scars before you sleep every night, it's good for your burns. Thank you, sister. Qian Zhaodi's eyes reddened instantly. She wanted to hug Yang, but her clothes were dirty and tattered, and she was afraid of dirtying Yang's clothes. As if reading Qian Zhaodi's mind, Yang reached out to hug her. You're welcome, Zhaodi. If you ever run into any trouble, just tell me directly. Qian Zhaodi held her head against Yang's shoulder, sobbing softly. For many years to come, she would never forget this moment. Don't cry anymore. Yang caressed her head, whispering to comfort her. The next afternoon, when Yang saw Qian Zhaodi again, her bruises had faded considerably, looking less terrifying than the day before. As before, Yang brought noodles for Qian Zhaodi and also bought flowers. Watching Yang's retreating figure, deeply Qian Zhaodi bowed. Her eyes filled with unspoken emotions. Sister, thank you. After Yang left, Qian Zhaodi took out a penny and went to the shop to buy 10 fruit candies. Then, she asked the old man who swept the train station to help her buy a train ticket. After she finished these tasks, she went home. Since it was still early, Zhao Xiaoxi and Qian Shengqian had gone to work in the field and hadn't returned yet, leaving Qian Wangkai sitting at the doorstep. Wasteful brat, finally home. I'm hungry. Cook me something now. Has mom and dad not come back yet? Qian Zhaodi looked inside. Wasteful brat, worthless runt. I'm telling you to cook for me. Are you deaf? The hand Qian Zhaodi hid in her sleeve clenched into a fist. Speaking in a low voice, she said, Wangkai, do you want candy? Qian Wangkai bellowed. Wasteful brat. You dare to eat candy behind mom and dad's back. Speak. Did you steal money? I'm going to tell mom and dad right now. Let them beat you to death. You worthless runt. No, Wangkai, you misunderstood. I didn't steal the money. I found my candy up on the mountain, look. Qian Zhaodi slowly opened her hand, revealing a piece of candy still covered in dirt. Candy. Qian Wangkai snatched the candy, unwrapped it and stuffed it into his mouth. You little runt, where did you find this candy? Just up on the mountain, answered Qian Zhaodi. Then take me there now. Okay, Qian Zhaodi nodded, leading Qian Wangkai towards the mountain. Qian Zhaodi led Qian Wangkai deep into the forest. Pointing to a spot amongst the foliage, she said, "Wangkai, look, the candy is over there." Fearing that Qian Zhaodi would snatch the candies, Qian Wangkai immediately dashed over to pick them up. Chapter 351. The lovely Mrs. Shangguan heavily mistreats the family of Qian Zhaodi_6. But in the next second, a piercing scream of agony echoed through the air. Ah! Qian Wangkai's foot was caught in a large animal trap. The sharp teeth of the trap bit tightly into Qian Wangkai's ankle, and his cotton pants were instantly soaked with blood. Pain. Extreme pain. The air was filled with a strong stench of blood. Qian Wangkai was in so much pain that he was on the verge of passing out. Crying, he yelled out, "Useless bastard! You little jerk! What are you staring at? Hurry up and help me!" Qian Zhaodi immediately rushed forward, trying to pry open the trap with her hands. "Wangkai, don't be afraid, your sister is here to save you." Unfortunately, the trap didn't open, but instead clamped tighter. The pain was unbearable, like being bitten by a tiger. Unable to withstand the intense pain, Qian Wangkai fainted. Before he lost consciousness, he cursed at Qian Zhaodi. "You bitch! How dare you harm me? Mom, come save me. Come beat this bitch." Unfortunately, no one could hear his cries in the thick forest. Qian Zhaodi didn't linger at the place and ran back to the village. "Mom and Dad, it's bad. Wangkai is missing." When she returned, Qian Shengqian and Zhao Xiaoxi had already noticed that Qian Wangkai was missing and were frantically looking for him everywhere. "I asked you to watch your brother. How could you lose him? What kind of sister are you?" Zhao Xiaoxi slapped Qian Zhaodi across the face. Qian Zhaodi cried out, "Wangkai said he wanted to go play in the back mountain. I couldn't stop him, so I went with him. But all of a sudden, Wangkai disappeared while we were playing. I don't know what happened." Qian Shengqian grabbed a flashlight and walked out of the house anxiously. "Xiaoxi, let's go find Wangkai. Once we find him, we'll settle the score with this good-for-nothing girl. If something happens to Wangkai today, I'll skin you alive." The couple left the house, cursing and swearing. Not long after, a huge fire broke out in a small farmhouse, consuming everything inside. The flickering flames lit up Qian Zhaodi's dirt-streaked face, and a hint of a smile appeared on corner of her mouth. She finally took the step. Before leaving, Qian Zhaodi went to the door of Granny Gu's house next door and gave a sincere kowtow. These years, Granny Gu had taken care of her time and time again. Without her, she might have died long ago. Just then, the tightly closed door suddenly opened. "Granny Gu." Qian Zhaodi looked up at Granny Gu surprised. Granny Gu shoved a bundle into Qian Zhaodi's arms. "Child, don't say anything. Go quickly." "Granny Gu." Qian Zhaodi choked out, "Goodbye." Qian Zhaodi's frail figure disappeared into the dimness of the night. Granny Gu watched her leave and sighed slowly. It's better that she's gone. Because if Qian Zhaodi continued to stay in this family, she would eventually face certain death. By the time Zhao Xiaoxi and Qian Shengqian brought the unconscious Qian Wangkai back from the mountain, the fire was completely out of control, and the beams of the house had collapsed. "Oh my God! What happened? Help! Somebody help put out the fire!" Qian Shengqian was quite wealthy, and underneath his bed, he had hidden treasures handed down from his ancestors. "My treasure! My treasure!" Without his treasures, how would his family live the high life in the future? When the couple shouted out in panic, it drew quite a few villagers to come and watch the excitement. But they were there just to watch. In the village, Qian Shengqian and Zhao Xiaoxi were notorious for their domineering, cunning, and evil behavior, frequently abusing their daughter. So when they came to such a state, everyone was almost clapping in joy. What goes around comes around. This is their retribution. Right you are. I beg you, please help us put out the fire. I will pay you a lot. At this point, Zhao Xiaoxi didn't care about her son's injuries anymore. She knelt on the ground, pleading with everyone. Even if you give us a lot of money, we can't act against our conscience. Yes. 3 feet above our heads, there are divine beings watching. If we help put out the fire, won't that just be helping a tyrant? When you two are doing evil things in the village and abusing Zhaodi, didn't you ever think about this day? You deserve it. Please. Zhao Xiaoxi knelt till his forehead was bloody, but no one was willing to reach out a helping hand. Relying on others will not help. Qian Shengqian bravely dashed into the blazing inferno to retrieve his treasure. Wenkai's father. Zhao Xiaoxi screamed in horror, watching as the raging fire engulfed Qian Shengqian. Then there is such a question from the crowd. Where is Zhaodi? My goodness. The child isn't still in the fire, is she? Zhaodi is such a pitiful child. Once this realization seeped in, the onlookers promptly began to extinguish the flames. But it was too late. Because the fire was way too massive. However, they managed to drag Qian Shengqian out of the burning area, but by then it was too late. Qian Shengqian was so charred that he was unrecognizable. He was barely alive, but bedridden for the rest of his life. Qian Wenkai, on the other hand, had to have his limb amputated because his wounds were not properly cared for in time, and thus had become infected. As for Qian Zhaodi, everyone speculated whether she had been reduced to ashes in the fire. Everything was lost. No more people, no more money. Zhao Xiaoxi sat on the cold ground, crying uncontrollably, and finally, unable to cope with this blow, he turned mad overnight. At this time, Qian Zhaodi had just gotten off the train. Watching the rising red sun, her eyes brimmed with endless hope. A new life. It had begun. She would tread along the pathway leading towards her future, slowly but steadily. The next day, when Enai Yang went to the vegetable market again, she didn't see the familiar figure with yearning eyes, clutching a camellia flower. It was getting late, and there was still no sign of Zhaodi. Enai Yang glanced at the setting sun and furrowed her brows in concern. Excuse me, are you Sister Enai Yang? A childish voice sounded at her side. Looking down, Enai Yang saw a little boy about 7 or 8. I am Enai Yang. How can I help you, dear? The boy said. I'm Zhaodi's good friend. She asked me to tell you that she has gone far away. She will take care of herself and you should not worry about her. Also, the boy pulled a red string out of his pocket and gave it to Enai Yang. She asked me to give this to you. Before Enai Yang could ask anything else, the young boy scurried off. Enai Yang lowered her eyes to the red string in her palm. It was an ordinary red string, with a peach pit in the shape of a basket tied to it. The pit was polished and gleamed brightly, which showed the dedication of whoever crafted it. Peach pits tied with red strings were considered talismans against evil in folklore. Nevertheless, this was a token from Zhaodi, and Enai Yang carefully tied it around her left wrist. Soon Saturday arrived. Today was the day of Li Yanren's party. Fearful that Li Ting might not be interested in such a gathering, she had not only invited Enai Yang, but also Li Xianxian. The idea of a party, after all, was to make it as lively as possible with more people. Chapter 352, Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian _1 Enai Yang, having accepted Li Yanren's invitation, naturally wouldn't break her promise. It's already the 4th lunar month now, and the weather is slowly warming up. The willows on the river bank are beginning to bud, fluttering in the wind, looking like a girl's slender waist. Enai Yang opened up her wardrobe. She didn't have many clothes, mainly cheongsams and coats, along with one bright red down jacket. All she needed to wear in this kind of weather was a cheongsam. Enai Yang stood in front of the wardrobe, and after much hesitation, ultimately chose a blue-green cheongsam. The button loops of the cheongsam were wine red. The combination of blue and red didn't look abrupt, but rather harmonious. She wore a pair of silver-white high heels that revealed a little of her fair ankle and slender calves. Her long black hair was loosely plaited into a fishtail braid that hung over her left breast. A small clip, similar to a hairpin, was tucked behind her ear. As she walked, the short bead chain on the clip quivered, making it look especially pleasing. The cheongsam is a type of attire that is rather selective of its wearer. If slightly mishandled, it would make the wearer seem excessively mature drab. Yet when worn by Enai Yang, one could see infinite vitality and beauty. A feast for the eyes. She was like an orchid blooming alone in a valley, capable of becoming a beautiful landscape wherever she went. Just as Enai Yang finished changing her clothes, Enai Kuihua's voice came from the courtyard. Yang, are you ready? Yanran is here. I'm ready. Enai Yang walked out of the room. Ah, Yang, you look so beautiful. Even though this wasn't the first time seeing N.I. Yang dressed in a cheongsam, each time, N.I. Yang always impressed, radiating a unique beauty in each cheongsam she wore. "Thank you," N.I. Yang said with a smile. "You're very beautiful too." "I mean it, you're really beautiful." Li Yanran went over and held onto N.I. Yang's wrist. Oh, how wonderful it would be if beautiful N.I. Yang could become her sister-in-law and save the gene pool of the Li family. Li Yanran mused happily. The two greeted N.I. Tsuehua, then left the N.I. family home. Due to the poor roads in the village, Li Yanran's car could only be parked at the entrance of the village. The two walked to the village entrance. Li Yanran opened the door of the passenger side. Yang, you sit next to me." N.I. Yang was somewhat surprised. "Yanran, you drove here yourself?" In the 80s, it was rare for women to drive. But then again, Li Yanran was from a wealthy family, so her being able to drive wasn't a rarity. Li Yanran nodded. "Yes, I drove here myself." N.I. Yang leaned in and slid into the car. The car that Li Yanran was driving was a well-known domestic brand, with all leather seats, and even a radio installed inside. At that moment, the radio was broadcasting a famous martial arts novel. Not only could the radio broadcast novels, but it could also play music. Li Yanran turned to N.I. Yang. Yang, would you like to listen to some music?" "Sure." N.I. Yang nodded. Li Yanran flipped the switch, and a familiar song instantly began to play from the radio. "It seems as if I've seen it in a dream. Waves appear in my heart, casting aside worldly worries and grievances." This song, "The Iron-Blooded Loyal Heart," was the theme song for The Legend of the Condor Heroes, starring Huang Rihua and Wang Meiling. The Legend of the Condor Heroes first aired in 1983, and in the years that followed, it became an unforgettable memory for an entire generation and an unparalleled classic on screen. This was too familiar a song, and it made N.I. Yang hum along subconsciously. Her voice was clear and melodious, possessing an indescribable charm when humming Cantonese songs. Li Yanran exclaimed in surprise. Yang, you can actually sing The Iron-Blooded Loyal Heart." The Iron-Blooded Loyal Heart was in Cantonese, which Li Yanran had wanted to learn for some time. Cantonese was rather difficult, and she hadn't yet mastered it. N.I. Yang smiled. "I can sing a bit." Li Yanran said enviously. Yang, you're too amazing." N.I. Yang replied. "If you want to learn it, I can share a little trick with you." Yes, tell me." N.I. Yang went on. "Initially, you don't need to focus on nailing every single word and sound. Just try to incorporate a bit of Cantonese flavor into your native Mandarin. Then listen more, sing more. If all else fails, you can remember the phonetic equivalents of the lyrics." Upon hearing this, Li Yanran's eyes lit up. "Right. Why didn't I think of that? I can remember the homophonic phrases. Yang, you're too smart." Chapter 353. Handsome Counterattack, Revealing the True Face of Li Xianxian_2. N.I. Yang bashfully rubbed her nose and modestly said, "Just SSO." The Li family's residence was located right in the heart of the city. Traffic in Beijing at this time was still convenient with no traffic jams, so they quickly reached the Li family's villa. Yang, we're here." "All right." N.I. Yang opened the car door and got out. Li Yanran led N.I. Yang inside. The Li's house was decorated in a Western style, with plenty of modern touches seen throughout. The gathering was held in the back garden. By the time Li Yanran and N.I. Yang arrived, the back garden was already filled with many people, men and women alike, laughing and chatting merrily. Li Yanran led N.I. Yang straight to Li Tingji. "Brother, let me introduce you to Yang, my best friend." Yang, this is my brother." "Miss Li, you already know Yang, so there's no need for me to introduce you." "Miss N.I., nice to meet you." A light of astonishment flashed in Li Tingzi's eyes as he extended his hand to N.I. Yang. "Mr. Li, nice to meet you." N.I. Yang reached out and shook his hand. As they shook hands, a small red string slipped from her sleeve. The dazzling red color was like a winter plum blossoming amidst the pure white snow, perfectly complementing her fastening buttons. It was extremely eye-catching. What a stunning woman. However, no matter how beautiful N.I. Yang was, he wouldn't be changing his affections, since the person he loved the most was Li Xianxian. Li Xianxian was a very talented woman, while N.I. Yang, despite her beauty, seemed like nothing more than an attractive airhead. How could she compare to the talented Li Xianxian? Li Tingji did not take fancy over beautiful women who were empty inside. Maintaining a proper smile on her face, Li Xianxian greeted Anai Yang. Yang. Sister Xianxian, what a coincidence. Anai Yang also smiled. Anai Yang did not expect to see Li Xianxian here today. And Li Xianxian did not expect to bump into Anai Yang at the Li residence. Yes, what a coincidence indeed. Li Tingji asked in surprise. Xianxian, you know Miss Anai? Li Xianxian nodded. I had met Yang Yang at Granny Mo's house before. Yang Yang is the divine doctor who cured Xiaodai's illness. Having previously been put in her place by Anai Yang, Li Xianxian wasn't about to make the same mistake. She was waiting for a perfect opportunity, one that could lead to Anai Yang losing face. With so many people here today, it wouldn't be too hard to embarrass Anai Yang. Li Tingji nodded and exclaimed, Miss Anai is really amazing. Anai Yang replied with a light smile. Just fulfilling my duty as a doctor. Li Tingji was stunned. He did not expect Anai Yang's response to be so indifferent, as he thought Anai Yang would seize the opportunity to boast about herself. However, Anai Yang did not seem to have any intention of doing so. This girl seemed different from his initial impression of her. Yang, let me introduce you to some of my other friends, Li Yanran said. All right. Anai Yang nodded. Li Yanran led Anai Yang to a group of young men and women. Let me introduce you to everyone. This is my recently acquainted good friend, Anai Yang for short. Nice to meet you, Yang. My name is Zhao Xiaoqi. Fong Kai. You can just call me Kai. I grew up with Yanran. My name is Lin Xiaoyu, but everyone calls me Little Lin. You can call me that too, Yang. Fong Ju. I'm Zhou Dajuan. Everyone was quite enthusiastic when greeting Anai Yang. Anai Yang was beautiful and had no conceit, making her popular among the crowd, particularly among the young gentry, who couldn't tear their eyes away from her. Beauty was not rare in Sijio City, but a beauty like Anai Yang, stunning inside and out, was indeed scarce. Not only was she beautiful, but she also had a great figure. Covered by her cheongsam, her waist was so slender that one might think it could snap at any moment. And yet, despite the body-hugging cheongsam, she did not seem the slightest bit provocative. Instead, she seemed even more pure and charming. She was as beautiful as if she had stepped right out of a painting capturing the beauty of Jiangnan's water towns. Yang, Little Lin exclaimed in surprise. How did you braid your hair? It's beautiful. Anai Yang smiled and said, This is called a fishtail braid. If you like it, I can braid your hair this way too. The fishtail braid was a style that only became popular in later years. In this era, people had yet to discover this kind of braiding, so everyone found it very novel when they saw Anai Yang sporting one. Moreover, Anai Yang had adorned the lengths of her fishtail braid with pearls, making it look very fresh. Chapter 354. Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian _3. Really? Yes. Anai Yang was standing behind Lin, helping her style her hair into a fishbone braid. All girls love beauty. As Anai Yang was braiding Lin's hair, a few privileged young ladies crowded around her, hoping to learn the skill. Anai Yang was not stingy with sharing her expertise. She was explaining in detail while braiding, her face full of concentration, sunlight highlighting her with a warm, golden light. Typically, anyone capable of creating something as lovely as this fishbone braid would hoard their expertise to themselves. However, Anai Yang didn't. She explained earnestly, and everyone quickly picked up the method from her. She was more than glad to share beautiful things with others. So, all of them grew to like Anai Yang even more after this episode. After the fishbone braiding lesson, the girls began a discussion about Anai Yang's perfect skin. Yang, your skin is flawless. What skincare products do you use? I use Ice Silk Skin. Anai Yang even dropped a little advertisement for the product. Ice Silk Skin? I think I've heard of that product. I also use Ice Silk Skin. Their products are genuinely good. It's just that their anti-wrinkle cream and whitening cream sell out pretty fast, so it's an advantage if you order them in advance. You don't just need to order in advance, you must do it a few months ahead. I'm currently using their aloe vera range. It's rather great, Even better than the foreign imports. I've been trying to pre-order for quite some time now. Is ice silk skin really that good? Definitely. Then I'll also buy a set and try it. Just the name ice silk skin sounds pretty high-end. There was a faint shimmer in Inai Yang's eyes. It seemed like ice silk skin had successfully made its mark within the glamorous circles. It was perhaps time to introduce a membership system. Membership marketing is precision marketing fueled by designing detailed business plans. You refine every aspect of your work to perfection in order to meet higher targets, leading to constant growth in business benefits and expansion. Inai Yang believed that someday, ice silk skin would make its name on the international stage. Li Xianxian watched everything unfold, a flash of dark light flickering in her eyes. Before Inai Yang arrived, she was the most popular person in the circle. But now, her radiant glory had been completely overshadowed by Inai Yang. What a cunning little minx. Since it was a social gathering, there were various entertainment facilities set up in the garden. Li Xianxian's gaze fell on the dartboard nearby. At this time, dart games had only just become fashionable among the elite. There were not many who were actually skilled at it, but Li Xianxian just happened to have practiced it before. Li Xianxian walked up to the dartboard, picked up a dart, and standing about 20 meters away, elegantly flung the dart. Snap! The dart hit right on the 8th ring. Given that the 10th ring is the best score, an 8 is an impressive achievement. Moreover, Li Xianxian is a girl, whereas darts is usually seen as a more masculine game. Wow! Xianxian, that's amazing. Xianxian, you're good. A heroine amongst women. Li Ting looked at Li Xianxian, admiration burning in his eyes. Li Xianxian was truly amazing, not only in possessing a wealth of knowledge, but she also played darts so well. Li Xianxian modestly said, "It's just a little trick, it's nothing big." Speaking of darts, Yang Yang is definitely much better than me, after all. She is a talented and versatile woman. Inai Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Sister Xianxian, you overestimate me. How can a country bumpkin like me know how to play such a game? Exactly. How could a country bumpkin like Inai Yang know how to play it? Amusement sparkled in Li Xianxian's eyes as she said with a smile. You're just too modest, Yang Yang. Gu Yi, who was close to Li Xianxian, approached the two of them, saying gently, Xianxian, you and Yang Yang stop being so humble. Why not have a competition between you two? Then we can see who is better. Birds of a feather flock together. Gu Yi, just like Li Xianxian, was filled with envious hatred towards anyone more attractive than her. Would I have the honor of competing with you, Yang Yang? Li Xianxian looked up at Inai Yang. Together, the two of them pushed Inai Yang into the spotlight. If she refused now, it would certainly leave a poor impression. The pair obviously wanted to make her look foolish. Inai Yang gave a light smile. Since Sister Xianxian has cordially invited me, it would be impolite to decline. Sister Xianxian, after you. Li Xianxian nodded and picked up a dart. Chapter 355. Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian _4. Wait a minute. Gu Yi reached out to stop Li Xianxian. Li Xianxian turned her eyes to Gu Yi. What is it, Yi? Gu Yi continued. Since it's a competition, we should set up the rules and stakes for the game. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fun. Stakes? Li Xianxian curiously asked. What do you think the stakes should be, Yi? Gu Yi replied with a laugh. The bigger the stakes, the more fun it'll be. I just don't know if Miss Inai is brave enough to play. As she said this, Gu Yi turned her gaze towards Inai Yang, with undisguised provocation in her eyes. Inai Yang looked unperturbed. Miss Gu, just say what you want. As long as Sister Xianxian agrees, I have no objections. Li Xianxian said, Go ahead, Yi. I'm willing to follow the rules of the game. Gu Yi carried on. How about the loser performs a striptease to liven up the atmosphere? Striptease? With so many people present, performing a striptease would make it impossible to hold one's head high again. Such a dare was like grinding the opponent's dignity on the floor. Interesting. Inai Yang's lips slightly curved up. Gu Yi, Li Yanran said with a slight frown, stepping forward. It's just a darts game. Do we really need such outrageous stakes? Li Yanran was a little worried for Inai Yang. After all, Not many people know how to play darts at this time, and Li Xianxian is a master. She didn't want An Yang to be at a disadvantage. Gu Yi laughed and said, Yan Ran and Yang and Xianxian, the people involved aren't saying much. This sentence indirectly told Li Yanran to mind her own business. Just as Li Yanran was about to retort, she was gently pulled by An Yang, who signaled her not to worry. Seeing her like this, Li Yanran silently heaved a sigh of relief. Gu Yi continued. The stakes are clear, let me declare the rules now. Miss An and Xianxian, you each get 3 darts. The person with the highest score wins. Li Xianxian smiled at An Yang and said softly, Since you have no objections, Yang, to the stakes and rules, I'll start first. All right. An Yang nodded. Li Xianxian picked up a dart and threw it swiftly. The black dart hit directly into the 9th ring. Moreover, the dart stuck between the boundary lines of the 9th and 10th rings, almost into the 10th ring. Without waiting for the crowd to react, Li Xianxian picked up the second dart. This time, the dart astonishingly hit the 10th ring. The 10th ring. The highest score on the dartboard. Even the men at the scene who had practiced darts probably couldn't hit the 10th ring. Li Xianxian looked at the surprised eyes of the crowd, and an imperceptible proud look flashed in her eyes as she picked up the third dart. This one also hit the 10th ring. In total, it was 29 points. That was incredible. There was a burst of applause from the crowd. Even some professional players probably couldn't achieve 29 points. No one expected Li Xianxian to have such skills. I'm sorry if I've made a fool of myself, Li Xianxian modestly responded. Xianxian, I really admire you. Gu Yi approached Li Xianxian. Did you underperform with your first dart? Li Xianxian nodded. I haven't played for a long time, my hand's a bit rusty. Someone at the side exclaimed. A rusty throw got the 9th ring. Xianxian, you're the first girl who's made me entirely admire. Li Xianxian smiled and said, It's just a little trick, you're too kind, Zhou. If her rusty throw got the 9th ring, how many rings could An Yang get if she gives it her all? At this moment, the more Li Xianxian downplays her skills, the more it underscores An Yang's incompetence. Striptease, huh? The very thought of it felt exhilarating. Miss An, what kind of striptease do you plan to present to everyone? Gu Yi looked at An Yang rhetorically. An Yang kept a calm face. The game has not been decided yet. What are you so worried about, Miss Gu? I'm not worried, Gu Yi responded with a ridiculing look. As long as Miss An doesn't play dirty when the time comes and accept her loss. An Yang flashed a charming smile. Honesty is the way of heaven, a gentleman keeps his word. She spoke with such dignity. Even Li Ting looked at An Yang at this moment. It seems that An Yang is not the incompetent beauty as he imagined. She has some cultural foundation, just not as talented as Li Xianxian. Gu Yi laughed and said, I feel reassured with Miss Nis words. Whoever goes back on their word after the game is a contemptible person who loses face. Chapter 356. Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian _5. Naturally. An Yang nodded. No one present thought An Yang would win. After all, Li Xianxian scored 29 points. Unless An Yang could score 30 points. Although An Yang was beautiful, beauty didn't equate to skill. Could she score 30 points? An Yang casually picked up 3 darts, half closed her eyes, aimed at the bullseye, lightly flicked her left hand, and all 3 darts flew out. Her actions were clean and sharp, without a hint of messiness. All 3 of them. She actually threw all 3 at once? Could all 3 hit the dartboard at once? Does she even know how to play darts? An Yang was about to embarrass herself. She would become the laughingstock of the venue. A triumphant glimmer flashed momentarily across Li Xianxian's eyes. But the next second, something unbelievable happened. All 3 darts hit the 10-ring score. And they hit the bullseye. All 3 darts were tightly clustered together. This was beyond impressive. Scary. It's really too scary. Li Xianxian's face turned deathly pale. What? How could this be possible? How could An Yang, a simple country girl, have such talent? Xianxian, Li Yanran gloated. What kind of sultry dance are you preparing to perform for us? A sultry dance? How could she dance that kind of dance? Gu Yi stood up and said, "This round doesn't count. No one could hit the bullseye with all 3 darts at once. This must be a coincidence." Li Yanran retorted, "Gu Yi, your reasoning seems a bit far-fetched, don't you think? You say it's a coincidence, then why don't you go ahead and show us a coincidence of your own? If you can't stand to lose, then don't play." Gu Yi retorted, "If it's not a coincidence, then Miss and I, please demonstrate for us again." She refused to believe that An Yang could be so lucky a second time. Upon hearing this, everyone around nodded in agreement. Hitting the bullseye with 3 darts at once, it truly was a bit unbelievable and could indeed be mere coincidence. "Gu Yi, you're just stirring up trouble." Li Yanran was furious. A sense of relief washed over Li Xiangxian's face. It was just a coincidence, she didn't need to panic. In the end, the loser would still be An Yang. An Yang gave a light smile, reached out to pick up 3 darts. "Then please watch closely, Miss Gu." Since everyone thought it was a coincidence, she would prove herself with her skills. With those words she raised her hand. Swish, swish, swish. All 3 darts hit the bullseye again. Everyone fell completely silent. The area was absolutely quiet, nobody said a word. An Yang continued, "If Miss Gu still thinks it's a coincidence, then how about this?" After she spoke, An Yang threw another 3 darts. And this time, she threw them with her back facing the dartboard. Her pose was scarily cool. What was even scarier was that all 3 darts still hit the bullseye. Even Li Ting, standing beside her, was dumbfounded. He thought that Li Xianxian was the most impressive girl he had ever met, but he never ever thought that, in this world, there was someone who could beat Li Xianxian. "Yang, you're so good." Li Yanran walked over and hugged An Yang's arm. "I guess some people have no words left now." How is this possible?" Gu Yi exclaimed in disbelief. Did you cheat? How could you cheat at darts?" There were so many people watching, Gu Yi's accusation was absurd. An Yang smiled faintly, the corners of her mouth lifted slightly. "Only a dog would go back on its word, so. Miss Gu, don't be a dog." Her tone was gentle but resolute, effectively reprimanding both Gu Yi and Li Xianxian without a single swear word. "Xianxian, it's time for you to keep your end of the bet." Li Yanran turned to look at Li Xianxian. Li Xiangxian's face was ghostly pale. What was she supposed to do? How could she dance in such a humiliating way? If she danced, she would completely lose face. "Tingji," Li Xianxian looked up at Li Ting, her eyes full of mist. Anyone who saw her in such a pitiful state would instantly feel sympathetic. Seeing her like that, Li Ting felt as if his heart was being squeezed. He could barely breathe from heartache. Although Li Xianxian had lost, she wasn't the one at fault. The one in the wrong was Gu Yi. Gu Yi should never have suggested such an outrageous bet. "Xianxian, don't worry." Li Ting whispered comforting words to Li Xianxian. Then he turned to Li Yanran. "Yanran, you're not young anymore. How could you join in the foolish clamor?" Chapter 357. Handsome Counterattack, revealing the true face of Li Xianxian _6. Li Yanran said, "I'm not stirring up trouble for no reason. This is a bet. Since Xianxian agreed to it, she should fulfill it as promised." Li Xianxian lowered her head, her hands tightly clutching the corners of her dress, embarrassed in a way she hadn't been since that incident with the Mo family. Everyone's gazes cut into her like knives. Every look was like a torture. An Yang. That horrible An Yang was to blame for all of this. It looks like this malicious woman couldn't be allowed to stay. As long as this woman was around, she couldn't get her head up high. "Yanran, enough of your antics." Li Tingzi's voice suddenly turned stern. An Yang laughed and spoke. "Yanran, in this world just as there are gentlemen, naturally, there are also villains. We should be broad-minded and not bicker with untrustworthy people, right? If someone wants to commit such lowly behavior, An Yang would allow it. Whether she dances or not, Li Xianxian would lose face today either way." Hearing this, Li Yanran laughed lightly. Yang, you're right. Why do we bother with petty people?" Li Xianxian bit her lip, raised her head to look at Li Tingji, and said with a pale face, "Tingji, I'm feeling a bit unwell, I'm going home early." Li Tingji said in a worried tone, "I'll send you home." No need, I want to be alone for a while. After saying this, Li Xianxian turned around and left directly. Li Tingji walked up to Li Yanran and said angrily, Yanran, do you realize that you went too far just now? Xianxian is our guest. Look at what you've reduced her to. Since Enai Yang was a guest, Li Tingji couldn't directly point fingers at her, so he indirectly criticized his own younger sister instead. How have I gone too far? I was just abiding by the bet. Li Yanran said, Brother, the one who's being unreasonable is you. You know that Li Xianxian is a guest, but Yang Yang is also a guest who I invited. Li Tingji choked up. Anyway, you're not allowed to treat Xianxian like this in the future. Li Yanran got tired of dealing with her confused elder brother, and pulling Enai Yang aside, she walked away. Yang Yang, let's go over here. The two sat in front of a small flower bed, where Li Yanran began to tell Enai Yang about the past between Li Xianxian and Li Tingji. My brother is a man who values substance. The reason he is so protective of Li Xianxian is because of her talent. Although Li Xianxian's character is questionable, she is indeed talented. I remember she wrote a poem called Mountain Moon that was particularly good. Mountain Moon. Enai Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Yanran, do you remember the content? Li Yanran thought for a moment, then said, I once came by moonlight, solely because you were in the mountains. Enai Yang continued. The mountain breeze brushes against my hair, my neck, and my bare shoulders. The moonlight dresses me in radiant garments. The moonlight dresses me in radiant garments. Just as Li Tingji happened to be passing by, he was surprised. Miss Enai, you also appreciate Xianxian's poetry? Li Yanran looked at Enai Yang in shock as well. Enai Yang laughed and said, Li Xianxian's poem? When did this poem become Li Xianxian's? If I remember correctly, this is clearly Shi Mirong's poem. In Enai Yang's previous life, she clearly remembered Shi Mirong's existence, and that Shi Mirong had been famous all over China in 81, but in this life, there was no news about Shi Mirong at all. It is unclear whether this is due to the butterfly effect brought about by reincarnation. However, it was disgusting that Li Xianxian blatantly claimed others' work for her own. Nonsense. Li Tingzi's face changed. Miss Enai, even if you have an issue with Xianxian, there's no need for you to insult her like this. Do you know how important a reputation is to a girl? Enai Yang looked indifferent and continued. Li Xianxian told you that she wrote Mountain Moon, but did she also tell you that Mountain Moon was selected from a poetry collection named 7 Miles Sent, which not only contains Mountain Moon but many other famous poems? And Mountain Moon does not end at the moonlight dresses me in radiant garments. There's another part following it. The reason Li Xianxian didn't write the following part was likely because she only read the first half of Mountain Moon. Always ready to fan the flames, Li Yanran asked, Yang Yang, what's the latter part about? Enai Yang continued. New greenery appears in the forest, just like my youthful appearance. Youth is transparent like strong liquor, drinkable, able to be drained, able to part ways, but eventually, how many things we two have exchanged as the stars shifted. Li Tingzi's face grew increasingly dark, for he had never heard Li Xianxian recite this last part. Could Li Xianxian actually have plagiarized? Li Yanran shook her head. Tut tut, Li Xianxian is such a hypocrite. Does such a thing. Shameless. Li Tingji couldn't accept this blow and subconsciously defended Li Xianxian. There must be some misunderstanding. Mr. Li is a smart man. Whether there is a misunderstanding or not, you should be clear in your heart. Enai Yang added, it was better to leave things unsaid here, otherwise, it could backfire. Li Tingji stumbled away from the back garden. After Li Xianxian left the Li family, she headed to a public phone booth. Mother. The coldness in Li Xianxian's voice coming through the phone gave Li Shu a shudder. She dashed Xianxian what happened. Li Shu stuttered in fear. Ever since Enai Yang left Dam Village, Li Shu had been unable to eat or sleep properly, afraid that Li Xianxian would discover the truth. Did Mu Yang leave Dam Village? No. Li Shu wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. How long are you going to keep lying to me? What did I tell you? Why did you let her leave Dam Village? Li Shu hastily explained. Xianxian, listen to me. It's not what you think, I really tried my best, but you need to understand that it's difficult to go against the will of others. Li Shu recounted the events that had happened in Dam Village to Li Xianxian. After hearing the events, Li Xianxian narrowed her eyes. She is quite capable. She even managed to enlist the help of a city official. Li Xianxian continued. Mother, do you want to live a good life in the city? Xianxian. Li Shu exclaimed joyfully. Are you finally going to bring me to the city to live a good life? Mother, now you have more than just one daughter. Li Shu furrowed her eyebrows. Xianxian, what are you talking about? Apart from you, how many daughters could I have? Li Xianxian said. Didn't you already marry Mu Jinbao? Then Mu Yang is also your half-daughter. As your daughter, she should fulfill her obligation of supporting her parents and elders. Mother, Mu Yang is now doing well in the city. She has opened 4 noodle restaurants and has become quite wealthy. Wealthy? Li Shu's eyes lit up immediately. She didn't expect that little wretch Mu Yang to now have such ability. It seems that she was going to live the life of a rich wife in the future. The thought of this brought Li Shu much excitement. Li Xianxian continued. Mother, you don't need me to teach you what to do, right? No, Li Shu laughed. Xianxian, rest assured, this time I promise not to disappoint you. Chapter 358. Find Sun Shiwu, pay back tooth for tooth, take it all as it is. _1 Li Xianxian gave a few more instructions, then said. Mum, you guys should set off as soon as possible. It's better to do this sooner rather than later. Once you get to Beijing, I'll arrange for someone to meet you. Okay. Li Shu hesitated for a moment, then asked. Xianxian, can I see you this time? Ever since the incident 3 years ago, the mother and daughter hadn't seen each other in person. Their only contact over the years had been through phone calls and telegrams. For anything important, Li Xianxian would notify Li Shu over the phone. And Li Xianxian never used a landline. Li Xianxian frowned slightly, her stance firm as she said, No, but I miss you a lot. Mum, do you want to kill me? Li Xianxian retorted. Of course not. Xianxian, why are you talking nonsense? Li Xianxian continued. Since you don't want to kill me, don't ever mention this again. Li Shu sighed. Xianxian, we can't never meet for the rest of our lives, can we? Li Xianxian replied. When it's time to meet, we'll meet. Mum, your most important task now is to get to Beijing as soon as possible. All right, I understand. You take care of yourself in Beijing. After hanging up the phone, Li Shu returned to the Mu family. The Mu family house was the same as before, 3 very low mud huts. The 2 weather-beaten gates were filled with a sense of vicissitudes, as if they could be broken by a gust of wind. The thought of leaving this rundown place and living the good life in the city filled Li Shu with elation. Old Lady Mu was in the courtyard, doting on her grandson. My precious little darling, would you give Grandma a smile? The nearly 7-month-old baby was chubby, with bubbles of snot on his face. His neck and wrists were piled with fat folds, but his eyes lacked the brightness that a child his age should have, appearing hollow and listless. But nobody in the Mu family noticed this abnormality, treating him as their apple of their eye. After all, he was the Mu family's only grandson. Mum, I have great news. Li Shu entered the courtyard from outside. What's the big news? Old Lady Mu looked up at Li Shu. Mum, Li Shu continued. Our Yang is doing exceptionally well now. Old Lady Mu snorted coldly. What great achievements could that ungrateful wretch possibly have? She was just a burden, not even worth half of her golden grandson. Li Shu laughed and said, I heard from my relatives in the city that Yang is now running 4 shops there, and business is booming. She's now a 10,000 yuan household. Isn't that great news? 10,000 yuan household. In this era, being a 10,000 yuan household was a very big deal. Often you couldn't find one in 10 villages. Upon hearing this, Old Lady Mu asked in surprise, That wretch is really a 10,000 yuan household now. Indeed, responded Li Shu. My relative saw it with his own eyes. Are you telling me he would lie to me? Mum, our Mu family has finally produced a capable person. It's just a shame that Suehua has already divorced Jinbao. Otherwise, you and Jinbao could have enjoyed her success too. At the end of her words, Li Shu sighed deeply. Old Lady Mu squinted her eyes. Divorced? Even if she's divorced, she's still part of our Mu family. Where is that wretched girl now? Yang Yang is in Beijing now. Li Shu answered. Old Lady Mu then said, Ashu, go pack your things. We're going to Beijing tonight. Now that Yang is a 10,000 yuan household, of course they have to go to Beijing immediately. After all, Yang's money is the Mu family's money. If they don't go quickly, what if Cuehua hooks up with some rogue and gives all the money to him? The Mu family's money should be under her control. It can't be stolen by some rogue. Mum, Li Shu hesitated, then said, There's something else I'd like to tell you, but you'll need to prepare yourself. Tell me. Li Shu continued. My relative told me that Yang Yang has changed her surname. She now uses her mother's surname, Enai. Do you think she'll still recognize us if we go to Beijing now? A name change? How dare that wretch change her surname? Old Lady Mu angrily stood up, her eyes glaring. That ungrateful little wretch has really gone too far. She was born a Mu, and even in death shall be a Mu. Just wait. When I get to Beijing, I'll make her change her surname back. I'm her grandmother, you're her mother. Yaozong is her blood brother. She doesn't get to decide whether to acknowledge us or not. Chapter 359. Find Sun Sherwu, an eye for an eye, take it all as listed. _2. Yang is nothing but part of the Mu family. What right does she have to deny us? As for this, the old Madame Mu didn't worry at all. Li Shu pretended to sigh, but I am still a little worried. Mrs. Mu followed with, Don't worry. I am her grandmother. She is not obliged to disobey me. Li Shu nodded. Then I'll go pack now. Go ahead. I will go to call Jinbao back. Mu Jinbao was working in the fields. When he heard about this, he was overjoyed. He was so excited that he didn't even know his last name anymore. He had never dreamed that he could become a man of tens of thousands in his lifetime. Didn't expect this little wretch to be so capable. Old Madame Mu huffed. What skill does a loss-making wench have? It's all because our old Mu family's ancestral grave is well located and can emit green smoke. Otherwise, the loss-making girl probably would have starved to death outside. Now she doesn't know how to be thankful, and she even dared to change her surname. This time, I must give her a good lesson. Otherwise, this little wretch might even move heaven and earth. Mu Jinbao agreed. Mom, you are right. She needs to be disciplined. Li Shu said, Mom, how should we split those 4 shops? I heard from my relatives that the shops have a good business and can make several thousand yuan a day. Several thousand a day. Upon hearing this, lustful lights appeared in the eyes of both Mu Jinbao and Mrs. Mu. Let me think about it, said old Madame Mu, squinting her eyes, calculating. Let's divide it this way. Yaozong will get 2, I'll get 1, and you 2 will get 1. However, Yaozong is still young and his shop will be managed by me for now. Old Mrs. Mu was a cunning woman herself. After all, Li Shu was an outsider. Mu Jinbao was a simple-minded, honest man. Naturally, too much couldn't be given to Li Shu. What if Li Shu took the money earned from the shop and secretly nourished another man outside? All the money in their family belonged to Mu Yaozong. Okay, I have no objections. Although Lady Mu only gave her 1 shop. But sooner or later, those other 3 shops will also be hers. After all, Mu Yaozong was born from her womb. It's her womb which is creditworthy. Seeing that Li Shu had no objections, Mrs. Mu nodded in satisfaction. What the Mu family needed was such an obedient good daughter-in-law, who could carry on the family line. Mom, there is something I don't know whether I should say or not. Li Shu hesitated to speak. Ashu, you speak. Li Shu continued. I think we should find a suitor for Yang Yang during our trip and marry her off early, so that she won't covet our family's money. After all, our Mu family's money shouldn't fall into the hands of outsiders. Li Shu had already made arrangements with Li Xianxian. While introducing suitors to Yang, she would directly sell Yang to human traffickers, to let her have no place to be buried. All the better to get her out of Li Xianxian's way. Mrs. Mu nodded. Ashu, what you said makes sense. Li Shu expressed her concern. It makes sense indeed, but what if Yang refuses? Didn't my distant relative get scared off by her last time? Mrs. Mu shouted angrily. If that little wench dare to refuse, we'll just lock her up, not giving her any food until she agrees. The old ginger is always spicier. She didn't believe that little wench and Yang could be tougher than her. Then what about Sister Tsuehua? Li Shu continued. And Tsuehua? Mrs. Mu said with a disgusted face. She is just a shoe that nobody wants. She doesn't deserve to live in our Mu family. Once we arrive at Beijing, I will let her roll as far as possible. Mom, is it a bit too harsh for us to do this to Sister Tsuehua? Li Shu said. After all, Yang is her daughter no matter what. Mrs. Mu said. Mu Yang is our Mu family seed. What does she have to do with that cheap bitch? If it hadn't been for that worthless woman who can't have sons, maybe our Mu family would be prosperous by now. That bitch Mu Yang secretly lives a good life outside, while making our whole family living in the country suffer hardships. Ashu, you are just too kind to speak for them. Old Mrs. Mu had made her decision. This time, after they arrived in Beijing, she would definitely make Yang understand that as a grandmother she wasn't to be trifled with. Chapter 360. Find Sun Sherwu, an eye for an eye, take it all as per the list. _3. Or else, Yang might believe that her grandma was just a papier-mâché figure. Mrs. Mu, whenever she thinks of Tsuehua and her daughter using Mu family's money to live freely and comfortably, was getting so mad that her liver hurt. The family of 5 took all their belongings and went to the county city overnight, but since it was late when they arrived, the train tickets to Beijing were only available 3 days later. So they had no choice but to buy these tickets. Yang had recently been busy with the customized member system of Ice Skin and Jade Bone. She wasn't aware that the people from the Mu family were on their way here to Beijing. Yang, someone is looking for you. Kuihua's voice came from the yard. Someone is looking for her? Who could it be? Yang put down her pen and walked toward the yard. Mr. Xiaozhou? Seeing the man that came, Yang was slightly surprised. Miss Anai. Being a detective, Xiaozhou wouldn't visit her for no reason. Yang chuckled and said, Mr. Xiaozhou, let me introduce you. This is my mom. Mom, this is my friend Mr. Xiaozhou. To Zayaza's surprise, Yang took the initiative to introduce him to her mom as her friend. Indeed, a great fortune in life is becoming friends with a beauty like Yang. Xiaozhou cordially greeted. Good to see you, Auntie. You can just call me Xiaozhou. Tsuehua nodded. Nice to meet you, Xiaozhou. Yang, lead Xiaozhou to take a seat inside. Okay. Mr. Xiaozhou, this way. Xiaozhou followed Yang to the living room. Take a seat, Mr. Xiaozhou. I'll make some tea. Xiaozhou somewhat embarrassedly replied. Miss you don't have to be so polite. I only need to say a few words and then I'll leave. Yang smilingly answered. It's no big deal, just a cup of tea. It wasn't long before Yang came over with a cup of freshly brewed tea. Xiaozhou took a sip of the tea, originally thinking it was just an ordinary cup of green tea. Unexpectedly, it was surprisingly good. This tea was incredibly aromatic. Miss where did you buy this tea? Yang replied. I roasted it myself. Miss you are truly remarkable. Xiaozhou put down his teacup, then added. By the way, Miss the reason for my visit is to discuss something with you. Although it was not a significant matter, Xiaozhou believed it would indeed be of considerable importance to Yang. Please go ahead, Mr. Xiaozhou. Xiaozhou continued. Li Shu Mu family's Bao and their old lady are coming to Beijing. They will take a train tomorrow, and will probably arrive in Beijing in 3 days. Since Yang had previously asked Xiaozhou to look into Li Shu's past, Xiaozhou had been keeping a close watch on Li Shu's movements. Actually, Xiaozhou was returning a favor to Yang. After all, Yang had done him a great favor last time. Yang's eyes slightly narrowed. She didn't expect that the Mu family would take the initiative to come to her doorstep. Without a doubt, this had Li Xiangxian's handprint all over it. What are you going to do now, Miss Yang replied calmly with a faint smile. Of course I will accept everything as is. Unknowingly, Xiaozhou seemed to see a touch of coldness from her smile. She didn't act like an 18-year-old girl at all, but rather like a seasoned woman who had seen it all. Even Xiaozhou, a well-experienced detective, couldn't help but admire her. Yang continued, Mr. Xiaozhou, this information is incredibly crucial to me. Thank you so much. Xiaozhou replied. Miss and I, as you also said, we are friends. Friends should help each other out. If there's anything I can help you with in the future, feel free to tell me. Okay. And I Yang nodded, then added. My friends all call me Yang Yang. You can call me that too, Mr. Xiaozhou. And I Yang was very willing to make friends with the detective, which was one of the reasons she offered to help Xiaozhou cure his insomnia. Xiaozhou chuckled and said, Yang Yang, then you can just call me Xiaozhou. There's no reason for friends to call each other Mr. or Mississippi. And I Yang agreed without any pretense. Okay, Xiaozhou. Xiaozhou continued. Yang Yang, now that everything has been clarified, I should go back. There's still work to do at the bureau. And I Yang stood up and said, Wait a moment, Xiaozhou. Xiaozhou halted, puzzled. And I Yang came back quickly, carrying a large glass jar full of tea leaves. Xiao, you like tea, don't you? This is for you. This is too valuable. I cannot accept it. Such a big jar of tea leaves must have taken a long time to collect, not to mention the time to roast them. Chapter 361. Find Sun Shiwu. Give him a taste of his own medicine, except as per the list. _4. Xiaozhou was not an ignorant person. And I Yang said with a smile. It's all tea that I made myself. It can't compare with bought tea, as long as you don't mind. It was then that Xiaozhou reached out to take it. Yang Yang, you're too modest. Your tea is much better than the bought one. And I Yang escorted Xiaozhou all the way to the village entrance. After going back home, she rode her bike to the city. She went to the vegetable market and bought some stewed meat and vegetables, then went to the store to buy 5 bottles of liquor, and then walked to number 18 Backstreet Lane. Number 18 Backstreet Lane was inhabited by a bunch of social misfits. Rarely would someone as young and beautiful as Ai Yang set foot there. By this time, quite a few individuals with dubious intentions had emerged. A shady-looking delinquent with a rub of his hands sneakily followed Ai Yang, attempting to grab her shoulder. At that moment, Ai Yang landed a perfect backspin kick. Bang! The person was harshly kicked to the ground. So much so that he didn't even have the strength to crawl up. The sound of gasps filled the air, and no one else dared to come forward. Ai Yang, unobstructed, reached Sun Shiwu's residence. The door was closed. While knocking on the door, Ai Yang called out, Uncle Shiwu, are you inside? It was quite a while before Sun Shiwu creaked open the door, grumbling. Who is it so early in the morning? Recognizing that it was Ai Yang, Sun Shiwu smiled from ear to ear. It's Yang Yang. What brings you here? Come inside quickly. As Sun Shiwu led Ai Yang into the room, he kicked the empty liquor bottles on the ground. My room is a mess, I hope you don't mind, Yang Yang. Ai Yang said with a smile. I don't mind. If Aunt Ashu were with you, it certainly wouldn't be this messy. Whenever Li Shu was mentioned, that cheap woman, Sun Shiwu's anger surged. He launched into a torrent of swearing. Sun Shiwu cleared the messy table a bit. Yang Yang, have a seat. Thank you, Uncle Shiwu. Ai Yang put her things on the table. Uncle Shiwu, I brought some liquor and snacks. Sun Shiwu said somewhat embarrassedly. Yang Yang, you've spent money on me again. Ai Yang chuckled. It's okay. You are my elder, and I used to get along so well with Sister Dalian, so it's only right that I show respect to you. Sun Shiwu exclaimed. Yang Yang, you are a good girl. Not like that disrespectful daughter. She no longer sees me as her father. Speaking of Sun Dalian, Sun Shiwu's eyes filled with venom again. As his words fell, Sun Shiwu continued. Let's not talk about that damn girl. Bad luck. Today is a good day, let's have a drink. Sure. Ai Yang nodded, setting out the stewed meat and vegetables. Sun Shiwu went inside to bring 2 ceramic cups. Worried Ai Yang might mind his cups, Sun Shiwu washed them several times, then disinfected them twice with hot water. Although Sun Shiwu was not a reputable man, he held great respect for Ai Yang. For one, he was impressed by Ai Yang's skills, and secondly, Ai Yang treated him really well. She brought him food, drinks, and even gave him money to spend. Thank you, Uncle Shiwu. Ai Yang stood up and accepted the cups with both hands. Sun Shiwu said, We two are like family, no need for formalities. As the drinks flowed freely, Ai Yang added, Uncle Sherwoo, living alone like this isn't right. Have you considered finding Aunt Ashu and Sister Dalian? Sun Sherwoo furiously slammed his cup onto the table. Once unfaithful, forever useless. Once I find them, they'll pay. And Young picked up a peanut. Uncle Sherwoo, you're being too harsh. There might be some kind of misunderstanding. Being together as a family is always better than being alone. Besides, Sister Dalian has always been smart. If I can keep myself fed in Beijing, Sister Dalian can definitely do better. Just wait to enjoy the blessings brought by Sister Dalian. I don't even know where they are now. How can I enjoy any blessings? Sun Sherwoo said, taking a big gulp of liquor in frustration. And Young laughed and said, rest assured, Sister Dalian is filial. She won't abandon you. Sun Sherwoo sighed. Ah, why couldn't he have a good daughter like Young? Uncle Sherwoo, I drink to you. I believe that in the future, Sister Dalian will surely bring you happiness. Then let's hope your words come true. Yang, let me drink to you. In this manner, Sun Sherwoo got progressively drunk, and finally, he tried to make Young his sworn sister, starting to address one another as siblings. Chapter 362. Find Sun Sherwoo, retaliate tit for tat, take everything exactly as it is. _5. Little Yang, listen here. Your good old brother has had an incredibly lousy life, meeting a damned whorish woman. Burp. One day I'm gonna kill them all. Burp. Since they aren't letting me be, then I won't let them be either. Burp. Crash. The drink's glass falls to the ground, and Sun Sherwoo collapses on the table, unconscious. Uncle Sher. And Young spoke softly. Only Sun Sherwoo's snoring was heard in response. Uncle Sher. And Young gently pushed Sun Sherwoo. Drink, I can still drink. Sun Sherwoo slurred. And Young slightly raised her eyebrows, took out 100 yuan note from her pocket, and placed it on the table, then turned and left. After leaving the back street, Young made a round of the local noodle restaurant and milk tea shop. The businesses of the milk tea shop and the noodle restaurant were as booming as ever. She absolutely couldn't let Elder Mu and Mu Jinbao influence the business of her noodle restaurant and milk tea shop. Even if it did not cost much money, it still seemed exasperating. Young narrowed her eyes. After leaving the noodle restaurant, Young went to Xiaozi's detective agency. Xiaozhou was a detective. There's nothing he didn't know unless he didn't want to. About an hour later, Young left the detective agency. On the other end, Li Shu, Mu Jinbao, and their group had already boarded a train. Perhaps the air inside the train was too stuffy. The moment Mu Yaozong got on the train, he began to cry incessantly. He made so much noise that none of the passengers in the carriage could sleep. Grandmother Mu cradled Mu Yaozong. Her whole demeanor was incredibly affectionate. Grandmother's good grandchild, don't cry. Once we get to Beijing, your grandmother will take you to live in a mansion. Eat delicious food and drink spicy things. Let's just endure it for a bit longer. In the face of her golden grandson, Grandmother Mu could not help but present him the best things. Li Shu and Mu Jinbao were in the back seat, discussing how to run the businesses once they reached Beijing. The two even planned what kind of house to buy. After all, the Mu family was rich now. Naturally, they couldn't live too poorly. Soon the day passed. When Sun Sherwoo woke up again, it was already the next morning. When he saw 100 yuan on the table, his sleepy eyes instantly lit up. It was 100 yuan. With these 100 yuan, not only could he drink alcohol, but he could also buy cigarettes. Sun Sherwoo quickly grabbed the 100 yuan and went out. He exited the back alley, ready to eat a good meal out. Recently there was a noodle restaurant that seemed to sell very delicious noodles at a not expensive price. Sun Sherwoo wanted to try their noodles. Just as he walked to the entrance of the restaurant, he saw a familiar figure. Was this Yang? And all the customers referred to Yang as the boss. So Yang was the boss here? If Yang was the boss here, then she was really stingy. She made so much money every day, yet she only gave him 100. Did she think he was a beggar? Sun Sherwoo's eyes flickered. Perhaps he could pull off a big one. Didn't Yang drink with him yesterday? This meant that Yang had lowered her guard against him. Suddenly, Sun Sherwoo had a better plan in mind. Sun Sherwoo didn't even eat the noodles. He took the money and went to a small illegally operated shop in the back alley and bought a rope, a hallucinogenic drug, a dagger, and a mask. Once the preparations were complete, Sun Shiwu had a good sleep at home, planning to invite Anai Yang for a drink the next morning. Sun Shiwu didn't wake up until the next morning. Meanwhile, Li Shu, Mu Jinbao, and Grandma Mu had just descended the train with the golden child of the Mu family. All of them were visiting the city for the first time. As soon as they got off the train, they were amazed by Beijing's massive buildings. Li Shu exclaimed in surprise, "The city is so big, even larger than our village's cattle farm." Mu Jinbao said, "My God, that small car looks impressive." Grandmother Mu laughingly said, "Our family owns 4 stores now. We are surely making a lot of money. It's not a problem even if we want to buy a car, or even 10. Mother is right," Li Shu said, looking very pleased. Grandmother Mu continued, "Ashu, Beijing is so big. Did your relative tell you where that slut Mu Yang opened our Mu family stores?" Beijing was huge, and as they were all unfamiliar with the area, they feared it would be difficult to find Anai Yang. Chapter 363. Find Sun Shiwu, repay in kind, accept everything as listed. _6. We have no such worries. My relatives will come pick us up soon. Mom, you don't need to rush. Li Xianxian had everything arranged, and now they just had to wait here. That's good, Ashu, you always think ahead. Old Lady Mu nodded with relief. Anai Yang knew that Li Xianxian must have arranged for someone to pick up Li Shu and the others this morning. So he came early to the train station. From afar, he saw Li Shu and Old Lady Mu standing among the crowd. The child in Old Lady Mu's arms must be Li Shu's son. The child had a dull look in his eyes, obviously not a normal child. Anai Yang subtly curved his lips, scanning the crowd, and finally noticed 2 figures looking around. Finally, he held up a large wooden sign with the 3 big characters Mu Jinbao written on it. What a pity. No one in the Mu family could read. Anai Yang slightly raised his brows, approached the 2. "Excuse me, comrades, are you here to pick up Mu Jinbao and Li Shu?" "Yes." One of them nodded. "Who are you?" Anai Yang smiled. "My surname is Anai. You comrades can call me Xiaoni. Mu Jinbao and Li Shu have already been picked up by their daughter Mu Yang. I've already spoken with comrade Li Xianxian. You 2 don't have to worry." The 2 narrowed their eyes warily. "So, you really discussed this with Miss Li?" "Certainly." Anai Yang laughed. "Dear comrades, why would I lie to you? It's a shame you came here for nothing. By the way, hey, race the departure fare given by Mu Yang for you. The money's not much, you can use it to buy some cigarettes." With that, Anai Yang handed out 2 large notes. Upon seeing the money, their eyes sparkled. The Qianmen cigarettes only cost 50 cents a pack. 10 yuan can buy 20 packs. That's quite generous. The 2 took the money and left without questioning Anai Yang any further. Who would lie for 10 yuan anyway? It's not like they're stuffed. Seeing the 2 leave, Anai Yang went to the public telephone booth, made a call and said, "Hello." The voice on the other end was a slightly hoarse male voice. If someone were on the scene, they'd find that this voice belonged to one of the 2 men who just left. The person on the other end of the phone didn't notice anything unusual. "How's it going?" Anai Yang replied, "Rest assured everything is well arranged." Upon hearing this, the heavy stone in Li Xianxian's heart finally landed. Since last night, her right eyelid had been twitching nonstop. She thought something must go wrong. Apparently, she was overthinking. After all, Anai Yang couldn't predict the future. How could anything go wrong? After hanging up the phone, Li Xianxian poured herself a glass of red wine to celebrate. Now she just had to calmly wait for Anai Yang to be sold to the human traffickers. From then on, no one would stand in her way. She had also sent her work to the newspaper agency. Twin joys have come her way recently. The more Li Xianxian thought about it, the happier she became. After Sun Shiwu had prepared the meal and drinks, he locked the door and headed towards the noodle restaurant. From afar he saw Anai Yang rushing, as if she had run into some trouble. Yang, what's wrong? Why are you so flustered?" Sun Shiwu acted concerned and approached her. Anai Yang's face looked unpleasant. "Uncle 15, it's good that you're here. I have something to tell you." Sun Sherwu said. What is it, Yang Yang? As long as Uncle 15 can get it done, I won't hesitate even if I have to go through fire and water. And I Yang stuttered, seemingly unable to spit it out. Yang Yang, what can't you say to Uncle 15? Sun Sherwu blinked and suggested. Why don't you come to Uncle 15's house? Well, wine and dine, and have a chat. Okay. And I Yang nodded, followed Sun Sherwu to his house. Sun Sherwu warmly invited An I Yang to sit down. An I Yang was no fool. She could tell that Sun Shiwa's warmth had turned sour. Her eyes swept across the room. Noticing the ropes in the corner and the dagger hidden under the bed, she understood everything. Like father, like daughter. Both Sun Sherwu and Li Xianxian were ungrateful wolves that could never be tamed. Yang Yang, have a drink. Sun Sherwu poured a cup of wine for An I Yang. The intense aroma of wine filled the air, mixed with a slight odd smell. Seemingly, there's something wrong with this wine. Thank you, Uncle 15, An I Yang raised the cup, continuing. Uncle 15, I think I saw Aunt Ashu just now. Really? Sun Sherwu was so excited that he even dropped his cup. Where did you see her? Yes. An I Yang nodded, looking a bit embarrassed. But Uncle 15, you should prepare yourself, because Aunt Ashu seems to. Seems to what? Yang Yang, just say it. How should I say this? An I Yang frowned, appearing at a loss for words. Yang Yang, just say it. Sun Sherwu was getting anxious. An I Yang let out a sigh and continued. Aunt Ashu has changed a lot. She was with a man, even holding a child in her arms. They were laughing and talking as if they are a family. That wretch! She dares to cuckold me. Sun Shiwa's anger instantly rose to its peak. An I Yang hastily put down the cup, soothing. Maybe I saw it wrong, Uncle 15. Don't rush to get angry. People tend to make mistakes when they are impulsive. Yang Yang. Sun Sherwu slammed the table and jumped up, his eyes red with rage. Tell me where that wretch and her lover are now. Uncle 15, may I ask you a question? An I Yang continued. Speak. An I Yang went on. Have you and Aunt Ashu got a marriage certificate? In the rural areas of the 80s, men and women typically marry with a banquet. Few have marriage certificates. Sun Sherwu shook his head. No. An I Yang frowned slightly. If there was a marriage certificate, your relationship with Aunt Ashu would be legally protected. If she really messes around, she'd be severely punished by law. If not, it would be hard to deal with. If this gets out, you'd be at a disadvantage. From her appearance, it seems like she has already obtained a marriage certificate with that man. Otherwise, she wouldn't be on a train. A train station, huh? Oh, go find that wretch and her man. Sun Sherwu stormed out. Chapter 364. Sun Shiwa's Revenge, Second Update, _1 Uncle 15. An I Yang caught up with Sun Shiwa's pace. You need to calm down. Having been cuckolded, how could Sun Sherwu calm down now? I'm going to kill those adulterous bastards right now. An I Yang tried to dissuade him. Uncle 15, killing is illegal. You mustn't do anything stupid. Sun Sherwu replied without turning his head. Worst case, we each die. After 18 years, I'll be a new man again. An I Yang stood there, watching Sun Shiwa's retreating figure. A faint curve danced at the corner of her lips, her dimples slightly visible. The warm yellow sunlight seemed to drape a mysterious veil over her. Evil grinds itself. Let Sun Sherwu and the despicable people from the Mu family rip each other apart. That's just perfect. Next, she simply needs to watch the dog fight from afar. This show definitely wouldn't disappoint her. Train station. It was already past 10 in the morning. The old lady from the Mu family was waiting anxiously, growing more and more impatient. Ashu, when will your relatives arrive? Li Shu was also quite anxious. Perhaps they have been delayed, mother. Let's wait a bit more. Mu Jinbao suggested. There's a phone booth across the street. Ashu, why don't you give them a call? Li Shu wanted to call Li Xianxian, but she didn't have her number. My relative doesn't have a telephone at home. She always contacts me from a public phone. Mu Jinbao frowned. What should we do then? We can't just keep waiting. Continuing to wait indeed wasn't a solution. Li Shu thought for a moment, then said, why don't we settle down in a guest house for now? Madame Mu slightly frowned. We're already home. Why waste the money? Let's wait a bit more. Li Shu laughed. Mother, have you forgotten we're a family of 10,000 yuan now? Besides, Yaozong is tired. It doesn't matter if we adults suffer a bit more, we can't make the child suffer. Concerning her great-grandson, the old lady from the Mu family nodded. Then let's find a guest house. When Sun Shiwu got to the station, the four of the Mu family were just crossing the street towards him. They were all talking and laughing, presenting quite a warm picture. This scene deeply stung Sun Shiwu. His face turned the color of pig's liver in an instant. A sense of humiliation enveloped his heart. That damned woman. She really had a bastard child with someone else. Shameful. So shameful. She's thoroughly discredited the Sun family. Today he was going to rid the Sun family of this disgrace. If he didn't avenge this marital affair, what kind of man would he be? Sun Shiwu turned around and entered a nearby shop. When he came out again, he had a kitchen knife in his hand. He was going to kill the four of them. Only that could wash away his hatred. At the crucial moment he suddenly calmed down. It was daytime and a crowded public space. Even if he did succeed, the police would catch him immediately. If he did succeed, that'd be something. His life for 4 lives would be worth it. But if he didn't succeed and the police arrested him, wouldn't that be doing the adulterous couple a favor? No good. He couldn't take that risk. He had to send all 4 of them to hell. So he had to plan carefully and make sure there were no slip-ups. Sun Shiwu squinted his eyes and quietly followed the 4 of them. Li Shu was a very alert person. She felt as if someone was following them from behind, but when she turned around to look, there were only ordinary pedestrians. Ashu, what are you looking at? Mu Jinbao asked curiously. Jinbao, mother, do you feel like someone is following us? No. Mu Jinbao shook his head. The old lady of the Mu family became frightened and held her great-grandson tighter, looking around. Is there a child trafficker trying to kidnap Yaozong? That's possible, Li Shu answered cautiously. There's a guest house ahead, let's hurry in. All right. The 3 people quickened their pace and entered the guest house ahead. When they got inside the guest house, Li Shu still felt uneasy, so she turned around to look outside again. Sun Shiwu quickly hid behind a tree. Li Shu squinted her eyes, puzzled. Was it just her overthinking? Li Shu turned around, and 3 seconds later, she quickly looked back again. There was still no one outside. Perhaps she was really overthinking. Only then did Li Shu walk inside feeling reassured. To prevent Li Shu from suddenly looking back again, Sun Shiwu hid behind the tree for more than half an hour before he stepped out. You cheap slut. Sun Shiwu spat on the ground. See how I'll kill you all this time. Sun Shiwu carefully examined the terrain around the guest house and confirmed Li Shu's room, before returning to the alley in the back street. When he returned to the alley, Yang had already left. Sun Shiwu saw the food and drink on the table, and only then did he remember his original plan. Since he had decided to go for a big score, he might as well go all the way. The saying goes, fortune favors the brave. First, get rid of that slut Li Shu. Then find a way to get money from Yang, and finally disappear. If Yang didn't cooperate, he would kill her too. After all, killing 4 or 5, it's all the same. At this point, what does he have to fear? Thinking of this, Sun Shiwu went to the shop again and bought some other stuff. Night fell, and all was quiet around. A figure emerged from the alley, seamlessly blending into the darkness. Chapter 365. The crazy Sun Shiwu greatly abuses his top-quality relatives. The boss is back _1. The darkness is the best camouflage. It can also conceal all sins. All the unbearable, grimy aspects, all happen in the darkness of night. The night is even more dense tonight. There isn't even a single star in the night sky. The guest house. Li Shu sat on the edge of the bed uneasily said. I don't know what's wrong today. My right eyelid has been twitching incessantly. Mrs. Mu laughed. A twitch in the morning signifies disaster, at noon wealth, in the evening ingots rolling in. This is a good omen. It means our family's days will get better and better. Their family was now well off. In the future the money would generate more money. Maybe they could even become the richest or something. The more Mrs. Mu thought about it, the happier she became. A good thing? A mocking look emerged in the eyes of Sun Shiwu, who was hiding behind the window. Soon their entire family was going to hell. In a certain sense, this was indeed a good thing. Li Shu nodded. Mom, you're right. Mu Jinbao put his arm around Li Shu's shoulder. Of course, can what our mom says be wrong? Listening to the conversation coming from inside the room, Sun Shiwu clenched his teeth tight. His entire body was trembling. Bitch. But he didn't rashly burst in from the window. Instead, he waited until the lights in the room went out and confirmed that everyone inside was asleep. Only then did he openly arrive at the front desk of the guest house. It's past 2 a.m. The prime time for sleep. The old man at the front desk was snoring loudly with his head down on the table. Old man. Sun Shiwu gently pulled open the drawer and spoke at the same time. The old man was sleeping soundly and didn't respond at all. Sun Shiwu then felt at ease. He pulled open another drawer and took out a large bunch of keys. Sun Shiwu found the key he needed, put the rest of the keys back, and then swaggered inside. Li Shu and the others were staying in a double room, located on the first floor of the guest house. Sun Shiwu carefully opened the door with the key, took off his shoes at the door, and quietly went in. Using the dim light, Sun Shiwu first went to Li Shu's bedside, took out a white towel from his bag, and covered her mouth and nose. This towel had been soaked in high-grade ether. Only a dozen seconds were needed in the sleep to make her fall unconscious. After dealing with Li Shu, Mu Jinbao was next, then Mrs. Mu, and finally the child. Only after ensuring that all 4 persons in the room were unconscious, did Sun Shiwu switch on the light in the room. With a snap, a dazzling white light lit up in the air, and everything in the room was revealed. Sun Shiwu took several ropes out of his bag, tied the 3 adults together, sealed their mouths round and round with tape. After confirming that there were no problems, he fetched a basin of cold water from the bathroom and splashed it ruthlessly on their faces. The 3 dazedly woke up. The 3 didn't know what was happening and could only struggle unconsciously. Bitch. Only when a cold voice came from above their heads did they lift their heads to look. With one glance, Li Shu was stunned. This is Sun Shiwu? How did Sun Shiwu find this place? Fear gradually took over Li Shu's eyes, and wave after wave of cold sweat broke out on her back. She never dreamt that Sun Shiwu, this bastard, would find this place. What now? Looking at Sun Shiwu's current state, he doesn't look as if he would let this go easily. Did Li Xianxian know Sun Shiwu came to Beijing? Bitch. You dare to cuckold me. Sun Shiwu grabbed Li Shu's hair in one hand and pulled out a sharp kitchen knife from his bag. The light reflected a glaring, cold light. Having been a couple with Sun Shiwu, she knew this beast was capable of anything. Li Shu wanted to cry out for help, but her mouth was sealed with tape and she couldn't make any sounds. Rest assured, I won't let you die easy. Sun Shiwu grabbed Li Shu's hair and fiercely smashed her head against the wall. Bitch. Traitor. You dared to betray me. Betray me and even had a bastard. Li Shu's head was spinning from the impact, the pain unbearable. In just a moment, there was the smell of thick, freshly spilled blood in the air. Mrs. Mu and Mu Jinbao weren't fools either. Now at this time, naturally, they could guess who Sun Shiwu was. Mrs. Mu wished she could kill Li Shu right now. This damn whore. She had a man on the outside, but still lied to them and said she was a chaste lady. Chapter 366. The Crazy Sun Shiwu, Greatly Abusing Top-Quality Relatives. The Big Boss is back _2. What now? What about her precious grandchild? Her newly embraced grandchild. They had just become wealthy. She didn't want to die. She was waiting to enjoy her fortune. If she died, wouldn't all the money and shops in her family just go to Anai Tsuehua? And that outsider man she was with? This is Mu family's money. How could it benefit outsiders? No. She couldn't die. Even if she died, she would drag Anai Tsuehua and her daughter down with her. If she couldn't live a good life, she wouldn't let them either. The old lady Mu frantically signaled to Sun Shiwu, hoping Sun Shiwu would spare them. After all, it was Li Shu who had wronged Sun Shiwu. Their family had been kept in the dark too. They were victims. As long as Sun Shiwu spared her, she could give him a lot of money. Unfortunately, Sun Shiwu didn't read minds. He turned to old lady Mu. Old hag, you're in such a hurry to die, huh? Sun Shiwu let go of Li Shu's hair, and instead grabbed old lady Mu's hair. How dare your son cuckold me? Oh, make sure you don't know what's coming. Fear-filled old lady Mu's eyes. Please let her go. As long as Sun Shiwu let her go, she was willing to pay any price. As the saying goes, the daughter pays the father's debts. She wanted to tell Sun Shiwu. She had a beautiful granddaughter. She could marry her granddaughter off to Sun Shiwu. After all, and Aiyang was better looking than Li Shu. She was serious. As long as Sun Shiwu let her go, she would forgive and forget, and let an Aiyang pay the debt. After all, that little wretch would have to get married someday. If an Aiyang wasn't enough, they could add an Aitsuehua. If Sun Shiwu still felt unappeased, he could kill an Aiyang and an Aitsuehua. But Sun Shiwu didn't give her the chance to speak. All of a sudden, old lady Mu became anxious and scared, her face full of old tears. She had never been this scared in her life. Sun Shiwu made his move. Blood splattered everywhere. Old lady Mu, in the midst of planning to use an Aiyang and an Aitsuehua to pay off her debt, fell down in a pool of blood. Murder. 2 murders. Li Shu and Mu Jinbao were ordinary people. When had they seen such a scene? A strong smell of urine filled the air. Sun Shiwu looked down to see that it was Mu Jinbao who was so scared he had wet himself. Not only urinated, even defecated. The odor was nauseating. Sun Shiwu held the bloody knife and lightly patted Li Shu's face with it. You've chosen such a coward? Li Shu's eyes were wide open, as if her eyeballs were about to pop out. Her expression was filled with terror. She began to regret. She shouldn't have come to Beijing. HMN. Li Shu struggled constantly. Or this time next year will be your death adversary. A thin silhouette appeared by a public telephone booth. She dialed 3 numbers and the call was quickly answered. Hello, this is the Beijing Public Security Bureau. Hearing this, an Aiyang's cold expression vanished, replaced with a layer of fear. The hoarse male voice on the phone was filled with heavy crying. Pu Public Security Bureau. Yaoyaosi Guest House, Room 104. There's a murder. Sun Shiwu wasn't a good man either. Of course an Aiyang wouldn't let him get off scot-free. Moreover, now that Sun Shiwu had already started killing, even if he couldn't do anything to her, an Aiyang still had to consider for her family's mother and sister. She couldn't let other loved ones be threatened with their lives. As for Li Xianxian, an Aiyang had other plans. After all, Li Xianxian had been scheming for so long. An Aiyang certainly intended to let her experience the feeling of standing on top of clouds. Then let her fall from the clouds. After all, the higher one stood, the harder they fell. Don't be afraid, comrade. We're coming right now. An Aiyang hung up the phone, a faint smile playing on her lips. The righteous wail of a police siren shattered the quiet night. When the police broke through the door, Sun Shiwu was in the bathroom dealing with the bodies. Upon seeing the police, Sun Shiwu's face turned white and his blood ran cold. At this moment, he knew he was done for. His life was over. Clang! The blood-soaked cleaver fell to the ground, making a piercing sound. Don't move. Several officers pinned Sun Shiwu down. The news of the murder at Yaosi Guest House was buzzing by the next day. Chapter 367. The crazy Sun Shiwu greatly abuses his top-quality relatives. The boss is back _3. It just had to be a murder case involving complete family annihilation. Every single one of them, young or old, was gone. There was no one left to contact to identify the bodies. Thankfully, the suspect was apprehended in time. Li Xianxian jerked awake from her nightmare. She had had a very, very terrifying dream. In her dream, Li Shu, covered in blood, was staring at her. She didn't say anything, but her gaze was all the more chilling for it. That cold went clear to her bones. Even thinking about it now, it sent a shiver of horror down her spine. She felt the sunlight streaming in through the window. Some of Li Xianxian's calm returned. She got dressed, got out of bed and went to eat in the cafeteria. Everyone in the cafeteria was buzzing about the horrifying murder of an entire family the night before. The 2 people seated next to Li Xianxian were whispering about it. Li Xianxian could hear them clearly due to their proximity. The girl with long hair said, Xiaofei, did you hear? Someone died over at Yaohai Guest House yesterday. Xiaofei exclaimed in surprise, Really? Is there any doubt? Said the girl with long hair. The news is all over town. Didn't you see our entire campus discussing it today? Xiaofei followed up with, who were the ones that died? They say an entire family of 4 died. The youngest was merely a few months old. The oldest was a woman in her 70s, and there were 2 that were slightly young. At this point, Li Xianxian furrowed her brows. Coupled with the dream she had just woken up from, she had a sinking feeling in her heart. Could it be that the 4 people being discussed were Li Shu and the others? Probably not. Li Shu and the others had just arrived in Beijing, and they had no enemies. Moreover, they were currently within Anyang. Li Xianxian was already in touch with organ traffickers. As soon as Li Shu's affairs were settled, the traffickers would take Anyang away. With these thoughts, Li Xianxian felt somewhat relieved. She picked up a piece of green vegetable and put it in her mouth. Oh my God! Xiaofei was finding this hard to digest. Isn't this too horrifying? You're telling me, sighed the long-haired girl. The murderer is a totally cruel person, right? To think they would wipe out an entire family over some grudge or hatred. Xiaofei couldn't even eat anymore. Has the police found out who did it yet? If this keeps up, who would dare to stay at a guest house? The long-haired girl replied. I heard the suspect's name is something like Sun Shiwu. I'm not too sure though. Sun Shiwu? Even though Li Xianxian didn't want to remember this name, she couldn't help but do so. She couldn't forget that father who was as evil as a devil. Wait. By rights, Sun Shiwu should be dead. When Li Xianxian left the Sun family with Li Shu, she had specifically lit a pot of coal and closed all the doors and windows in the house. How could he not have died from carbon dioxide poisoning? What on earth was going on? If the murderer was confirmed to be Sun Shiwu, then those who were killed were definitely Li Shu and the others. But how on earth had Sun Shiwu tracked down Li Shu? Li Xianxian's chopsticks clattered to the tabletop. All color drained from her pale face. If Li Shu was dead, so what? She had no connection to the Mu family, but if all of Mu family was gone, who else would keep an Anyang in check? Xianxian, what's wrong? You look really pale? Noting that something was off with Li Xianxian, Xiaofei turned to look at her. Nothing, Li Xianxian managed to squeeze out a smile. I'm just a bit lightheaded, maybe because I was up all night writing. Even at a time like this, Li Xianxian didn't forget to keep up her image as a hard-working writer. Xiaofei said, Xianxian, you're already so talented and yet you still work so hard. How do you expect the rest of us to live? Exactly, the long-haired girl agreed. Li Xianxian laughed. Have you guys heard of this saying? What saying? Xiaofei asked. Li Xianxian continued. It's something I came up with when I was down on my luck. Don't laugh when you hear it. Okay, both of them nodded, very curious as to what wisdom Li Xianxian had distilled from her misfortune. After all, Li Xianxian was famously talented in their entire school. Anything she said was sure to be thought-provoking. Li Xianxian said slowly, weighing each word carefully. Children without umbrellas must run harder. I am different from you. I have no parents, no family, no backing. The only one I can rely on is myself. Therefore, I have to work harder, because only through hard work can I lead a better life. Chapter 368. The crazy Sun Shiwu greatly abuses his top-quality relatives. The boss is back _4. The child with no umbrella should try their best to run. This phrase may seem ordinary, but when you look into it, you can find it filled with life's philosophy. Very motivating. Li Xianxian indeed deserves to be a talented girl. Xiaofei and the long-haired girls admired, saying, Wow, Xianxian, you are so amazing. If you become a famous writer in the future, don't forget to give your old classmates a hand. Remember us when you're rich and successful. Li Xianxian replied softly. I'll rely on your good words. I'll work hard. I'm almost done eating. I'll go first, you guys take your time. After speaking, Li Xianxian picked up her plate and left. Li Xianxian, being an orphan now, found it inconvenient to verify at the police station. Therefore she could only go to Enai Yang's noodle restaurant. If Li Shu and others hadn't died, they would surely show up at the noodle restaurant. Despite the situation, Li Xianxian still held a glimmer of hope. After all, the Mu family were the last bargaining chip she had. She hoped to see Li Shu and the Mu family at the noodle restaurant. God bless. Li Xianxian clasped her hands together. When Li Xianxian arrived at the noodle restaurant, she just saw the queued diners and employees, but no one else. Thus, Li Xianxian went to the second noodle restaurant. Here, she saw An Yang taking orders from customers. There was an old lady with white hair sitting in front of An Yang. The old lady looked at An Yang, her face almost breaking into a bloom. Who is this? Lady Shengguan? An Yang is really getting better and better. She managed to get in touch with the powerful Shengguan family so quickly. No wonder. An Yang could not possibly have opened up 4 shops in such a short time. Turns out she had so many helpers. She has been in business for so long and has only made a connection with the Mo family. She wondered what special means An Yang had used. Disgusting. Also, she didn't see Li Shu and the Mu family here. Could it be that it was indeed Li Shu who died last night? Li Xianxian glared at An Yang, wishing she could bore 2 holes through her. Just then, An Yang, who was talking to the old lady, suddenly turned her head and locked eyes with Li Xianxian, her lips curving up slightly at a painfully slow pace. She was clearly smiling, yet Li Xianxian felt no warmth from it. Instead, it sent chills down her spine. Li Xianxian nervously avoided An Yang's gaze and left the noodle restaurant hastily. Walking down the bustling street, Li Xianxian gradually regained her composure. What was with An Yang's gaze just now? Could it be that An Yang also returned from the past? If that's the case, then it will be troublesome. But An Yang's certain actions weren't quite alike someone who returned from the past. If An Yang really returned from the past, she shouldn't be so low-key. As far as she knew, the An Yang of the past was a graduate from a prestigious university. A graduate from a prestigious university would undoubtedly have extensive knowledge and reading volumes. All she needs to do is reference famous people or inventions to become famous in Beijing. Why would she need to work so hard to run a noodle restaurant and sell milk tea? It doesn't make sense at all. Regardless of whether An Yang returned from the past, she is a very difficult person to deal with. The death of Li Shu and the Mu family members disrupted all of Li Xianxian's plans. She felt all disoriented and it was unbearable. She didn't know what to do. This was the biggest predicament Li Xianxian had ever encountered in so many years. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. During this month, Li Xianxian made great achievements in the literary field. She was now a successful writer. Even internationally renowned masters praised her work by name. This honor isn't something that just anyone can have. Wherever she went now, Li Xianxian was greeted with smiles and became the talk among all the teachers and students. However, Li Xianxian was wary about being complacent. Over this month, she was secretly investigating An Yang. Now that there was no one from the Mu family to restrain An Yang, she could only rely on herself. An Yang has already started planning for the second physical store of Bingji Yufu. The second storefront will definitely be located in a large mall too. First, because of the high foot traffic, and second, because those who can afford to shop in large malls are always financially well off. An Yang is a businesswoman. Her first consideration is always benefits. With Bingji Yufu's good reputation and high sales, and thanks to Zhou Hua putting in a good word, An Yang was not worried about not being able to rent a shop. While eating dinner, An Chungue handed An Yang a document. Yang, this is what Sister Zhou Hua asked me to give you. Have a look at which mall you want to open your branch store in. Chapter 369. The crazy son Sherwu greatly abuses his top-quality relatives. The boss is back _5. All right. An Yang agreed. After flipping through some documents, she continued. We'll open it at Phoenix Mall. By the way, Auntie and I, go to the store tomorrow and tell the 3 young girls that whoever can reach a performance of over 30,000 next month, without being late or leaving early, that person can become the store manager of the new store. Although An Yang herself was a young girl, she didn't find it inappropriate when she referred to young girls. It's as though she were a battle-hardened figure of authority. An Chungue paused. All right, I'll go tell them tomorrow. In a team, competition brings pressure, and pressure brings performance. Moreover, the new store indeed needs an experienced and capable employee to maintain it. By doing so, it boosts overall performance and stimulates the employee's ambition. Two birds with one stone, why not do it? And Yang gave a slight smile. Auntie and I, you've been working hard lately. And Chungui laughed and said, it's not hard at all. It's much easier than when I used to work at the car company. Not to mention I got to meet many more people. Even someone from an unreachable upper-class society, enriching her knowledge and experience. And Chungui really enjoyed this job. In addition, she had a hunch that Yang's business would become increasingly successful, and one day, the image of individual business owners would be transformed in people's hearts. Country. A tall and straight figure was walking on the exotic streets filled with foreign charm. Behind him were 6 or 7 blonde blue-eyed country bodyguards. The passing pedestrians all glanced in his direction. Oh God, he's just perfect. Which country is he from? Judging from his attire and looks, he seems to be Chinese. Chinese men are really handsome. Some young ladies were about to scream. The women abroad were much more open-minded, and some bold ladies that initiated contact were politely rejected by the bodyguards. The man stopped in front of a transparent window. On display was a beige high-grade silk cheongsam, beautifully embroidered, with peonies blooming in the wind that appeared charmingly attractive. At a glimpse, it was elegant and reserved, simple yet dignified. The peony is the king of flowers and not everyone can carry it off. A slight misstep might even backfire. Although the cheongsam looked very nice, no one actually dared to buy it. Because it was too lavish. Yang would look good in this cheongsam. The man murmured. An image of her wearing the cheongsam even came to mind. He headed to the cheongsam store. After a few steps, the man looked back to his bodyguards and said, "I'll go in, you guys wait out here." Yes. Several bodyguards immediately halted and waited respectfully outside the door. The store owner was a 20-something Chinese lady, dressed in a light-colored cheongsam that outlined her perfect figure. Her cheongsam had delicate black edges, and she seemed like a quiet and beautiful lily, a beautiful jade in a humble home. Seeing a customer entered, she immediately welcomed him in. Hello. It was a handsome young man. She couldn't help but look at him multiple times. Moreover, she felt as though there was something familiar about this man's eyes, as if she had seen him somewhere before. Without hesitation, the man walked up to the cheongsam. "Please pack this cheongsam for me." "All right." The store owner nodded and took down the cheongsam from the mannequin. "And these shoes as well." He pointed to a pair of black high heels. Yang would definitely look good in these black high heels. With that thought, a slight curl formed at the corner of his mouth. The frigid man suddenly smiled, looking as if the ice and snow were melting, bringing life back to the earth. The owner was taken aback for a moment, then agreed. "All right, please wait a moment." The man looked around the shop and pointed to a delicate lady's handbag. "Pack that bag for me too." Next, his gaze fell on a teddy bear that the mannequin was holding. This bear was so cute. If he gave it to Yang, she would definitely love it. "Please pack that little bear as well." He pointed at the bear. The owner apologetically said, "I'm sorry, but this Winnie bear is not for sale." Chapter 370. The crazy Sun Sherwu greatly abuses his top-quality relatives, the boss's back _6. Not for sale. Yes. The shop owner nodded. The man continued, "Name your price." "I'm sorry, but this really isn't for sale." She had seen plenty of men like him who tried to gain her attention by flashing money. The shop owner steadfastly replied, "I'm sorry, sir, no matter how much you offer, I won't sell it." At these words, the man lowered his gaze to look at the shop owner. Only then did he notice that the shop owner was also wearing a cheongsam. However, although she was wearing a cheongsam, she didn't look as good as Yang, lacking that certain aura. Her face didn't match, nor did her figure. Something was off about her. For the first time, the man realized there could be such a huge gap between individuals. Feeling the man's gaze on her, the shop owner's heart rate quickened, and a faint blush spread across her cheeks. While she did have her fair share of suitors, she had never felt this strange sensation before. She thought she might have fallen in love at the first sight. The man casually withdrew his gaze, then helped me wrap up the other items. All the items were packed by the shop owner, who then looked up at the man and suddenly asked in Chinese, Are you Chinese? Yes. The man nodded. The shop owner continued. Is your last name Mo? Before the man could respond, the shop owner quickly asked, Are you Mo Chishan? Seeing her recognition, Mo turned to her with a quiet sigh, And you are? The shop owner laughed. I'm Jiro, the girl who sat behind you in the 3rd grade. Don't you remember me? Mo shook his head. Jiro went on. That's all right if you don't remember, as long as you do now. I didn't expect to see you in F country. Are you working here now? Instead of directly answering her question, Mo said, I have other matters to attend to. I need to be going. Hey, wait a second. Jiro called out to Mo's retreating figure, running over to grab the teddy bear from the mannequin. Didn't you want this teddy bear? It's yours. Thanks, but I can't accept it. Mo politely declined. Accepting a gift given by another woman to give to Yang, what does that make him? Yang might not mind, but he would. Besides Yang, Mo didn't want to accept gifts from any other woman, nor become entangled with them. Take it, didn't you want to buy this teddy bear? Mo directly said, I'm sorry, I don't want my girlfriend to misunderstand. Jiro was surprised. You have a girlfriend? Yes. Mo replied lightly. Jiro continued, I bet she must be very pretty. Without any hesitation, Mo said, She is indeed very beautiful. Jiro nodded, a flicker of light flashing in her eyes. I wish you two a long-lasting relationship, and hope you get married soon. Thank you. After expressing his gratitude, Mo left the Cheongsam store carrying his purchases. Watching Mo's figure disappear down the street, Jiro finally turned around and headed to the counter to make a phone call. Hello Lanlan, I need to ask you something. What is it, Jiro? I promise, I'll tell you everything I know. A crisp female voice came from the other end. Jiro continued. Do you remember Mo Chishan? Yes. Xiaolan replied. I saw him during the New Year. Jiro. Why are you asking about that loser? Loser? Jiro frowned slightly. Why was Mo Chishan a loser? Xiaolan laughed. Jiro, you've been overseas for years. It's understandable that you don't know about some things. Let me tell you. Mo Chishan is not the same person he used to be. Zhao explained to Ji all the changes Mo had undergone over the years. Upon hearing this, Jiro didn't seem too surprised. A loser? How could Mo Chishan be a loser? Would a loser have 7 or 8 bodyguards with him when he went out? Would a loser be fluent in the language of F country? Jiro continued. Does Mo Chishan have a girlfriend back in China? Xiaolan replied. You know Zhao Jingrong, right? Yes. Jiro thought for a moment. She was studying abroad, wasn't she? Xiaolan said excitedly. She's already returned home not long ago, and let me tell you something. Zhao Jingrong is Mo Chishan's fiancé. Zhao Jingrong? Jiro squinted her eyes. No wonder Mo said that his girlfriend was very pretty. From what she remembered, Zhao Jingrong was indeed beautiful, a woman who could stand her ground against her. Xiaolan continued. However, Zhao Jingrong is no longer Mo Chishan's fiancé. Chapter 371. The crazy son Shiwu greatly abuses his top-quality relatives. The boss is back _7. What did she say? Xiaolan chuckled and said. What else can she say? She just simply didn't think highly of Mo Chishan. Think about it, Mo Chishan didn't even graduate from a regular high school. Yet Zhao Jingrong is a talented student who returned from studying abroad. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that Mo Chishan is not good enough for Zhao Jingrong. In addition, I also heard that Zhao Jingrong has vowed to marry no one but Mr. Mog in this life. Upon hearing that Mo Chishan and Zhao Jingrong had called off their engagement, Jiro let out a sigh of relief. She continued. Isn't Mr. Mog quite mysterious? Has Zhao Jingrong ever met him in person? I wouldn't know about that. After chatting with Xiaolan for a while, Jiro hung up the phone. This phone call had given her a new understanding of Mo Chishan. A waste, huh? Jiro curled her lips. Zhao Jingrong is probably going to regret it this time. She saw it clearly that those bodyguards following Mo Chishan were all from the F country. There really aren't many Chinese people in F country who have such a large influence. Moreover, Jiro has also done some research on the mysterious Mr. Mog. She knows that Mr. Mog made his fortunes in F country. Mr. Mog's headquarters are also based in F country. You don't have to think to know that Emo-chishin is hiding a big secret. She thinks that she can take a gamble on it. Success or die trying. She has been holding on alone in F country for so many years just for Mr. Mog, hasn't she? She is already 29 years old now. If she waits any longer, her prime years will be over. Therefore, she must take this gamble. Moreover, she feels that Emo-chishin is also somewhat interested in her. Otherwise, why would a grown man come to a Cheongsam store to buy clothes? He must have said he already had a girlfriend as an excuse to come to the women's clothing store, to catch her attention. However, she didn't see Emo-chishin for the next 3 days. He seemed to just disappear all of a sudden. Jiro then made another phone call to China. After receiving the news that Emo-chishin had returned to the country, Wu Daming immediately went to Jinghua village. The location for the second, Ice Skin Jade Flesh, had already been chosen, and they were already renovating the shop. So Yang had been busy with things at home. It was already a particular month now, the house was almost finished, and they could start putting up the beams at the beginning of the month. The roses they had planted by the wall had already sprouted new buds. Now they were slowly climbing up the wall. In not so long, the green vine will spread over the whole wall, turning into a beautiful rose wall. When Wu Daming arrived, Yang was watering the roses in the corner of the wall. Sister-in-law. Wu Daming ran up to Yang. What's up? What's so urgent? Yang looked up slightly. Wu Daming continued, Sister-in-law, didn't you ask last time when Brother Six was coming back? Let me tell you some good news. He is on the 3 p.m. flight today. Would you like to come with me to pick him up? Yang was surprised, really? All in all, she hasn't seen that jerk for 3 months now. Of course it's true. Wu Daming nodded. Sister-in-law, do you want to go with me to the airport? Sure. Yang smiled. I'm going to give Brother Emo a surprise. When should we leave? We should leave now. It's just 2 hours until 3 o'clock. Okay, then wait for me. I'll go inside and change my clothes. If she was going to pick up her boyfriend, there should be some sense of ceremony. Yang didn't want to meet Emo-chishin looking all dirty and messy. She had gotten a bit of mud on her while watering the flowers. And because she wasn't planning to go out this morning, she didn't even bother brushing her hair properly. Okay. Wu Daming nodded. Yang took the bucket and went into the house. It wasn't long before she came out looking neat and tidy. Wu Daming incredulously looked down at his wristwatch. It had not been more than 10 minutes since Yang went inside, and she had already changed clothes and did her hair in less than 9 minutes. This speed was too quick. Wu Daming thought he was in for a long wait. Let's get going. Okay. The two walked to the village entrance and got into a car. About an hour later, they arrived at the airport. By this point, Beijing's airport had modernized significantly with a crowd of people waiting at the exit to pick up passengers. Yang was also standing among the diverse crowd. Wu Daming positioned himself behind her to prevent any opportunist from taking advantage of the crowded situation. Immediately upon deplaning, Emo-chishin spotted a familiar figure in the crowd. He must have gone mad, maddeningly longing for his wife. Why would Yang be at the airport? Emo-chishin rubbed his eyes in disbelief, then opened them again, but the scene before him remained the same. It's really his wife. Seeing the person had been pining for, Emo-chishin momentarily forgot about everything else, walked straight over to Yang, and pulled her into a hug. Holding her in his arms and feeling her warmth, Emo-chishin felt a sense of reality. So he hadn't been dreaming. Yang, I missed you so much. He deeply inhaled the refreshing scent of her hair. Yang wrapped her arms tighter around the dog of a man. Brother Emo, I've missed you too. Upon hearing her words, Emo-chishin hugged her even tighter. If it weren't for the fact they were at the airport, had have probably picked her up, kissed her, and swung her around in joy. Single dog Wu Daming at the side. Is it really okay for you two to just ignore my existence like this? Upon seeing Emo-chishin refusing to let her go, Yang pushed him away slightly. Brother Emo, we should head back. Oh. Emo-chishin reluctantly let go of her. Wu Daming extended his hand to take Emo Qixin's luggage off his hands. Emo Qixin looked at Wu Daming with distaste. Daming, how come you're here? Wu Daming. So this is the said brotherly love forgotten once the wife comes, huh? And I Young laughed and said, Wu Daming gave me a ride here. Otherwise, I wouldn't even have known that you were coming back today. Emo Qixin nodded and said, Oh, I see. Thank you for your trouble, Daming. Wu Daming pretends not to hear the offhand thanks. The three walked out of the airport and got into a car. With Wu Daming driving the car, Anai Yang and Emo Qixin took the back seat. Where to go now? Should he drop Anai Yang off first or Emo Qixin? For the moment, Wu Daming was at a loss. It seemed like Anai Yang could tell what was going through Wu Daming's mind and said, Why don't we drop Brother Emo off first? He must be tired after the long flight. Emo Qixin said, I'm not tired at all. Let's take your sister-in-law home first. Anai Yang looked at Emo Qixin and said, Brother Emo, do you recall how you promised me? What happened to the promise of listening to his wife in everything? A man's word is full of lies. Emo Qixin said, Let's do this. In major matters, we'll go with your decision, but can we go with my suggestion for minor things like this? Unable to argue with him, Anai Yang had to agree. Wu Daming compliantly slowed down the car to a crawl. At first, the two sat properly in the back seat. But later, Emo Qixin started getting restless. They sat closer together, and in the end, Hong Qixin daringly pulled her onto his lap. His delicate, thin chin rested on Anai Yang's shoulder, his hands wandering around her waist. Yang, will you come with me to F country next time? The single dog Wu Daming in the driver's seat stealthily glanced at the rearview mirror, and immediately felt his innocent heart taking a 10,000-point blow from a love attack. Couldn't bear to look anymore. Chapter 372. Abused the rotten peach blossom. Sent for identification _1. Could the two at the back seat consider the feelings of this single, pitiful man? It's uncomfortable. Heart-wrenching. Feels like crying. What to do? He too desires to be in love. Emo Qixin's arm was tightly wrapped around Anai Yang, his chin rubbing against her neck. Anai Yang pinched his chin, slapping his face while saying, You bastard, your beard is poking me. Faintly colored, the stubble on his chin isn't too noticeable, but it pricks against the soft skin, causing a stinging pain accompanied by slight itchiness. Bastard. Wu Daming in the front seat was dumbfounded. Anai Yang actually called Emo Qixin a bastard. It would have been less surprising if she just called him a bastard, but she even dared to slap Emo Qixin's face. It's over. Emo Qixin must be angry now. Hanging around Emo Qixin for such a long time, he knew Emo Qixin's nature well. He has a quick temper. Easily angered. His character is quite eccentric. Also, he despises anyone touching his face, not to mention a woman. Even his close male friends can't do so. His face is his forbidden area. Is Anai Yang going to get thrown out of the window by Emo Qixin? It's highly probable. After all, such a thing has happened before. Considering this, Wu Daming slowed down the car once more to prevent Anai Yang from getting seriously injured when she gets thrown out. Did it prick you? Emo Qixin asked with a worried face. Does it hurt? I'm sorry, I was in a rush this morning and forgot to shave. At this moment, Wu Daming wondered if he was hallucinating. Was this still the Emo Qixin he knew? Does he not care about his face anymore? And Anai Yang called him a bastard, yet he did not respond. My God. This is too terrifying. Wu Daming was doubting his life. It appears that Emo Qixin is really serious about Anai Yang. Wu Daming looked at Anai Yang differently now, with more respect. Emo Qixin was carefully blowing on the prickly spot. Anai Yang, with disgust, covered his mouth. Stop blowing, are you a fool? Emo Qixin mustered courage and kissed Anai Yang's hand. Anai Yang had no reaction. Emo Qixin, whimpering, so afraid the wife will get mad. Since a kiss has already been given, why not kiss again? /P. Emo Qixin mustered the courage, and gave her another kiss. Anai Yang's hands were soft, smooth and delicate despite her frequent hard work, with no calluses, her fingers slim, fair and exquisite, like a piece of top-grade mutton fat jade. Anai Yang pinched his nose. Will you ever stop? Seeing that Anai Yang wasn't angry, Emo Qixin became braver. He whispered into her ear. Wife, your hands smell great. And Aiyang raised an eyebrow. You have no shame. Not having any shame, yet I am still your man. And Aiyang. She realized Emochishan, this bastard, is becoming even more of a jerk. Wu Daming in the front seat. Please, spare me this display of affection. As if suddenly remembering something, Emochishan picked up a package from under the seat. Yang, this is a gift I brought for you from F country. Take a look and see if you like it. There was a splendid cheongsam and a pair of black high heels inside. The cheongsam was made of high-quality silk, giving it a great feel, which immediately caught in Aiyang, a cheongsam enthusiast's attention. The shoes were size 36. And Aiyang curiously asked, How do you know my shoe size? Emochishan replied with proud arrogance. How could I not know my wife's shoe size? He was a fully dedicated, all-round perfect boyfriend, the kind who dotes on his lover. Just then, the car passed by a Western restaurant. And Aiyang said, Brother Emo, have you eaten yet? No, Emochishan shook his head and said, The airline food was terrible. Then let's go have Western food? If you're not in a rush to go home. Having dinner with his wife, why would he be in a hurry to get home? There was no wife at home. I have nothing to do at home anyway. Emochishan continued. Daming, park the car in front. We are going to have Western food. Feeling the death gaze from the back of his head, Wu Daming, desperate to survive, said, No, I can't eat Western food, my stomach is not good, I'll have a stomachache after eating it. Brother Six and sister-in-law, you two go. Emochishan regretfully shook his head. Well, in that case it can only be me and your sister-in-law. The car stopped in front. Emochishan helped Aiyang out of the car. The two entered the Western restaurant. The restaurant had a romantic ambience, with fresh roses on the tables and violin melodies lingering in the air. It was the perfect place for a couple to have dinner. Chapter 373. Abused the rotten peach blossom. Sent for identification _2. Emochishan carefully pulled out a chair for Aiyang. Thank you, Brother Emo. Aiyang said as she gracefully took a seat opposite him. Why are you still so polite with me? Emochishan replied, reaching over to affectionately stroke her nose. Aiyang smiled and retorted. So should I thank the bastard instead? Emochishan replied seriously, Never thank me again. Because being nice to his wife was only natural. Got it. Aiyang, her eyes brimming with laughter, handed him the menu. Go ahead and order. You order? Aiyang questioned. How would I know what you like? Emochishan responded. I'm not a fussy eater, I love whatever my wife orders. We each order 2 dishes, no refusals. Aiyang wasn't the dictatorial type. All right. Emochishan nodded. I'll do as my wife says. After Aiyang ordered 2 dishes, she handed the menu back to Emochishan. It was 4 in the afternoon at this moment. There were quite a few people sipping afternoon tea in the restaurant. Sitting opposite Emochishan and Aiyang were 2 girls. Jingrong. Ying, sitting opposite Zhao Jingrong, signaled her with a glance. What is it? Zhao Jingrong was puzzled. Ying continued. Jingrong, look behind you. Zhao Jingrong turned to take a look and her face immediately twisted, distaste clouding her features. Why did he follow me here? Ying stated. Certainly, Emochishan must still have a thing for you. That's why he sneaked in after you. What a disgusting man. You have broken off the engagement so long ago. Yet he is still stubbornly clinging to you. Shameless. Zhao Jingrong snorted. If he had any shame, he wouldn't have followed. He doesn't even have the decency to look at himself. A toad trying to eat swan meat. Ying nodded, immediately aligning herself with Zhao Jingrong. And Jingrong, have you seen the girl next to him? She's quite pretty. Zhao Jingrong's expression darkened. Who in the entire Beijing could be prettier than her? Seeing the change in Zhao Jingrong's demeanor, Ying quickly corrected herself. Although she's pretty, she can't compare to you, Jingrong. In front of you, she's nothing more than a sparrow. No, she's nothing, not even a sparrow. You're the bright moon in the sky, she's nothing more than a clump of mud. The Zhao family was indeed a prestigious family in Beijing, and the Yi family was just small fry in comparison. hence Yi Ying's attempts to gain Zhao Jingrong's favor. Zhao Jingrong brightened instantly, stirring her coffee absent-mindedly. Continuing the conversation, Yi Ying suggested, Jingrong, I bet Mo Qishan brought this girl here just to make you jealous. He wants you to react. Jealous? Would she feel jealous towards that loser? Zhao Jingrong mocked. A loser stays a loser. His lousy tricks can't even impress anyone. He's doomed for life. Yi Ying nodded in agreement. You're right, Jingrong. Zhao Jingrong pulled out a couple of RMB notes from her wallet and placed them on the table, saying, let's go towards Yi Ying. Yi Ying immediately followed Zhao Jingrong's lead. As they passed by Mo Qishan, Zhao Jingrong glanced at An Yang. At that moment, a hint of surprise flickered in her eyes. She had only glanced at her earlier, but hadn't really noticed her. This girl was indeed somewhat attractive. She could just about compete with her. Zhao Jingrong had already been back in Beijing for a while, and had thoroughly investigated all the wealthy heiresses in the city. She was certain that this girl did not belong to the elite circles. She wondered where Mo Qishan had found this actress to put on such a show of affection in front of her. Mo Qishan. Zhao Jingrong walked over and stopped next to their table. Her eyes were filled with scorn as she looked down at him. What's the point of this? An Yang, who had been chatting with Mo Qishan, was suddenly interrupted by a woman's imperious voice. She glanced up and saw a face heavily made up with expensive makeup. This person? Well, she didn't recognize her. Could she be Mo Qishan's stalker? An Yang turned to look at Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan quickly explained, Yang, don't get it wrong, I have nothing to do with her. She's just been persistently annoying. Hearing this, Zhao Jingrong retorted angrily. Am the one being annoying? Mo Qishan, you're obviously playing your part too well. Clearly, it's you who has been stalking me. You've been severely disrupting my life. As if stalking wasn't enough, now you've even hired an actress for your play. You think this could provoke me? Let me tell you, our engagement is long over. I would never, ever be attracted to someone like you. Chapter 374. Abused the rotten peach blossom. Sent for identification _3. What a pain in the ass. Zhao Jingrong was furious. She didn't understand why her family initially arranged this marriage for her. Now she was having real trouble. Mo Qishan was just like a sticker, you can't shake him off. Wait a minute. An Yang spoke softly then said, what exactly did you just say, miss? Am an actress? Brother Mo is stalking you? Miss. An Yang actually called her miss. Doesn't she know that the thing women care about the most is their age? No one would be happy if a girl about a decade younger than them kept referring to them as miss. Zhao Jingrong angrily replied, are you not the actress hired by Mo Qishan? If he wasn't tailing me, then how could he just so happen to be in this restaurant? An Yang laughed. If I'm an actress, how much did you pay me? And may I ask, is this restaurant your personal property? Is it the case that other than you, no one else can come? Look carefully, dear miss, there are many people in this restaurant. Are you implying they are all here because of you? Did they all follow you here? When she heard this, the other diners in the restaurant cast complicated glances at Zhao Jingrong. Zhao Jingrong choked on her words. Her face turned very ugly, and she was left speechless in anger. An actress is just an actress. Isn't their mouth just like a fountain? Who can withstand it? You are making baseless accusations. Spouting nonsense. Zhao Jingrong finally squeezed out these words after being pent up for a while. It was clear that she was the victim. But why was the situation now reversed and being made her fault? If you are saying Mo Qishan wasn't tailing me, do you have any evidence to prove he wasn't? An Yang responded with a light smile. Dear miss, if you say Brother Mo is stalking you, I can also say that you are stalking Brother Mo. Do you have any evidence to prove you aren't? Zhao Jingrong was almost angered to death by An Yang. She was stalking Mo Qishan? She would stalk Mo Qishan, such a loser? Wasn't An Yang actually insulting her? Little bitch. How dare you talk to Jingrong like that? Ying angrily interjected. Mo Qishan's face changed, and he looked over at Ying. That look made Ying shudder, made her feel chilled to the bone. Were those really the eyes of a loser? Ying looked at Mo Qishan again, only to find that he had already averted his gaze. That must have been a misperception just now, right? Yes. It must have been a misperception. And Yang kept her cool, saying indifferently, stirring up the pot first makes you the shameless one. Who's the real bitch here? Don't I need to spell it out? Having spoken, Yang continued, little girl, at such a young age, I suggest you keep your mouth clean. Build up some good karma for your descendants. Try to be kinder as a human being. Upon hearing her words, the surrounding crowd started to gossip about Zhao Jingrong and Ying. And Yang looked at Zhao Jingrong and then said, also Emo Qishan is now my boyfriend. If you know what's good for you, miss, please stay away from my boyfriend in the future. At that, the surrounding crowd had an even more complex look, and the whispers grew louder. So she's trying to steal that young girl's boyfriend. Tisk tisk, you can't really judge a person by their looks. Zhao Jingrong's face was ghostly pale. She had never been so embarrassed in her life. She originally came here intending to put Emo Qishan in his place, to make him give up on her, but she didn't expect to be ridiculed by a young girl. Emo Qishan, you're doing great. Does he think that by doing this, I would like him? How ridiculous. Let's go. Zhao Jingrong turned her head to look at Ying. Ying immediately followed Zhao Jingrong's steps. The two left the restaurant in a rather sorry state. Inside the restaurant, Emo Qishan dared not meet Yang's eyes. Yang lifted her eyes to look at Emo Qishan. Brother Emo, aren't you going to explain? Although she knew Zhao Jingrong was just infatuated with herself, Yang was a bit angry. After all, Emo Qishan was the first person she truly liked. Emo Qishan swallowed. Yang, you can just call me a jerk again. Emo Qishan suddenly felt that being called a jerk was more comforting and made him feel safer. Yang kept a straight face and didn't say anything. Yang. Emo Qishan carefully prodded Yang's finger. Yang didn't respond. Emo Qishan continued. Yang, there's really nothing between me and her. She is Zhao Jingrong, the one I told you about earlier. We already broke off our engagement and I don't like her at all. Yang, won't you stop being angry, please? Chapter 375. Abused the rotten peach blossom. Sent for identification _4. Yin responded grimly. Who knows if you have a plethora of ex-fiancés? Today it's Zhao Jingrong. Maybe tomorrow it will be Wang Jingrong. And the day after might be Zhou Jingrong. I swear I don't. Emo Qishan raised 3 fingers. It's only this one Zhao Jingrong. It was back when I was immature for a few months, and my family's elders arranged it. Really no one else? Yin raised an eyebrow slightly. Absolutely no one else. Only then did Yin reveal a smile. Fine, I'll believe you this one time. Are you full? If so, let's go back. All right. Emo Qishan nodded, and followed Yin's pace. Yin went to the bar to pay the bill. Emo Qishan didn't dare say anything else, looking somewhat like an aggrieved little wife. The two of them were walking one in front of the other. Emo Qishan reached out to tug at Yin's sleeve. What's up? Yin turned her head slightly. Emo Qishan then said, Yang, can you call me a douchebag again? Otherwise, he kept feeling that Yin hadn't really forgiven him. Yin pinched his waist. You bastard, if there's a next time, I won't spare you. When he heard the long missing phrase, Emo Qishan felt a sense of relief. Bending over, he appeased in a low voice. Yes, my lord wife, I promise there won't be a next time. But Yin pinched even harder. Silver-tongued devil. Mercy, my dear. This is called wholeheartedness. Wholeheartedness for you and only you. The two of them arrived at the car bantering all the way. Wu Daming first dropped off Yin, then drove Emo Qishan back to the Emo family. He wasn't sure whether it was an illusion, but Wu Daming felt that after Yin alighted, the temperature inside the car fell several degrees, becoming oppressively cold. He could barely breathe. Do you know the Yi family? After a while, Emo Qishan's voice came from the back seat. I do. Wu Daming nodded. Brother 6, did the Yi family offend you? Emo Qishan slowly lit a cigarette. His handsome face seemed to be coated in a thin layer of ice. Something far more serious. Ah. Wu Daming widened his eyes in disbelief. What could be worse than offending Emo Qishan? His curiosity was sparked. What on earth had the Yi family done to be considered unforgivable? So, Emo Qishan looked up at Wu Daming. Do you know what you should do now? Yes. Wu Daming nodded. Any family that upsets Mo Qixin typically ends up with only one outcome. Disastrous. Furthermore, Mo Qixin continued, the Zhao family needs to be taught a serious lesson. Okay. They quickly arrived at the Mo family mansion. Mo Qixin had disappeared for over 4 months. His sudden return took Granny Mo by surprise. 6th. Mom. Mo Qixin went in and embraced Granny Mo. Granny Mo complained. You rascal, where have you been? No sign of you for such a long time. Mo Qixin replied. I went out to work. Work? Granny Mo said in surprise. Did I hear wrong? Or did the sun rise from the west? Mo Qixin helplessly answered. I really did go to work. Granny Mo nodded dismissively. All right, you went out to work. Mo Qixin. Granny Mo continued. 6th, do you have enough money on you? If it's not enough, just let Mom know. Don't worry, we have plenty of money. Mo Qixin replied. Don't worry, I'm not short on cash. Granny Mo took out 2 cards from her pocket and shoved them into Mo Qixin's hand. Keep these cards. Mo Qixin helplessly said. Mom, I really don't need money. Granny Mo responded with displeasure. You are my son, my youngest son. Can't your mom give you money? Take my money. It's not humiliating. Mom, actually I am. Mo Qixin whispered in Granny Mo's ear. After hearing Mo Qixin's words, Granny Mo burst out laughing. You child can't even lie convincingly. Only tell your mom such things, if it gets out, people will laugh their teeth off. Mo Qixin. Granny Mo continued. Now that you're back, Aunt Wang introduced a girl to you. Find some time to see her tomorrow. You're not getting any younger. When I was your age, your elder brother was already 12. Don't worry, I've checked her out. The girl is really nice, well-educated, and her family is full of intellectuals. Chapter 376. Abuse the rotten peach blossom. Sent for identification _5. Although Lady Mo had a strong desire to bring Ai Yang and Mo Qixin together. However, Ai Yang was much younger than Mo Qixin. Her future held countless possibilities. She was afraid that Ai Yang wouldn't fancy Mo Qixin. Besides, Mo Qixin was not young anymore. He could no longer procrastinate. Mo Qixin said, Mom, I have a girlfriend. What? Lady Mo stared incredulously at Mo Qixin. I have a girlfriend, so Mom, you don't need to worry so much. Lady Mo then said, You have a girlfriend? You're not making fun of me, are you? Why would I lie about something as serious as this? Lady Mo hastily asked. Where's the young lady from? How old is she this year? How does she look? How many are there in her family? Mo Qixin said. It's a secret, you'll naturally know when the time comes. A secret? Even getting a girlfriend has to be kept secret. Just trying to fool her. She thinks she, the mother, is becoming senile? Lady Mo said. Regardless, either you bring her over tomorrow for us to take a look, or you go meet the girl Auntie Wang has introduced. Mo Qixin hesitated. I need to consult with my girlfriend. It seems that this rascal might actually have a girlfriend. Lady Mo felt strangely excited. Lady Mo continued. Since you're already courting the girl, you should take responsibility for her. Let her get to know you better. Discuss it with her tomorrow. If she's willing to come to our house, we'll make preparations. We can't be rude to the girl. Mo Qixin nodded. All right. Lady Mo continued. By the way, is your girlfriend as pretty as Ai Yang? Mo Qixin gave a mysterious smile. Why don't you guess? Little brat. Lady Mo gave a playful smack to Mo Qixin's head. Don't play tricks on me. Mo Qixin continued. You'll know when the time comes. Can't you just tell me straight? Mo Qixin stroked his chin. How should I put this? Just then, Mo Baichuan walked in from outside. Upon hearing this conversation, Ai Yang's words suddenly flashed in his mind. Last time, Ai Yang said that she and Mo Qixin were together. Could the girlfriend that Mo Qixin was referring to be Ai Yang? They couldn't possibly be together, right? Would Ai Yang genuinely fancy Mo Qixin? Probably not. If the girlfriend Mo Qixin was talking about was indeed Ai Yang, he wouldn't have been so secretive. Why wouldn't he just say it outright? Yes, that person definitely isn't An Yang. Upon this thought, Mo Baichuan breathed a sigh of relief and headed upstairs. Chuan Chuan. Lady Mo called out to Mo Baichuan's retreating back. Grandma. Mo Baichuan respectfully responded. Lady Mo continued. Baichuan, didn't you see your sixth uncle has come back? Mo Baichuan turned to Mo Qishan, sixth uncle. Mo Qishan nodded. Good boy. Mo Baichuan slightly furrowed his brow. Mo Qishan was always so nonchalant and aimless. He found it strange if An Yang actually fancied such a man. At the An family's house. The moment An Yang arrived home, An Tsuehua curiously asked, Yang, where were you? I went to the airport to pick someone up. Who? An Yang continued. It was Mo Qishan. Mom, I'm dating Mo Qishan. Presently, An Yang didn't want to hide from An Tsuehua anymore. An Tsuehua smiled and said, Then you have to treat Xiaoma well. Xiaoma is a good boy. You're not allowed to bully him. An Tsuehua sincerely admired the young Mo Qishan. As An Yang chopped tomatoes, she said, Look at what you're saying. How could I bully him? An Tsuehua continued. Does Xiaomo's mother know about this? Their family is unlike ours. Will his mother have any prejudice against us? Rest assured, Auntie Mo is not the type to judge by appearances. An Yang was quite familiar with Lady Mo's character. Upon hearing this from An Yang, An Tsuehua finally felt relieved. The next day, An Yang took An Tsuehua to the city. The weather was getting warmer, and An Yang wanted An Tsuehua to go to the city more often. Staying home all day could easily lead to depression. There were lots of people on the street. Spring had come, and kite vendors could be seen everywhere. An Yang bought an eagle kite. Mom, why don't we take Yunyan to the park to fly kites? Chapter 377. Abuse the rotten peach blossom. Sent for identification _6. Little An is 1 month old now, and can already toddle around. Not far from here, there's a wetland park. At this season, the wetland park is bustling with parents who bring their children out to fly kites. Upon seeing the kites, little An laughs with joy. Sister. 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 An Yang says, Yunyan, that is a kite. Little An follows and says, Hongjing. Kite. An Yang corrects her. Hong. An Yang. The three women head toward the direction of the wetland park. At this moment, An Tsuehua is bumped into by a fast-walking passerby. She doesn't know if it's an illusion, but she suddenly feels a pain in her scalp, as if her hair has been pulled out. The passerby immediately apologizes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. Are you okay? Since the passerby apologized sincerely, An Tsuehua didn't dwell on it and replied, I'm fine really. Upon hearing that An Tsuehua was okay, the passerby hastily walks off, as if afraid An Tsuehua might accuse her of something. Mom, are you really okay? An Yang asks. An Tsuehua smiles and says, I'm not made of gold. What could possibly happen to me? That's a relief. The passerby swiftly runs into a small alley and hands over 2 strands of hair to a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man hands him 10 yuan. Thank you, says the passerby, smiling. If there is such work in the future, you can contact me at any time. An Yang and An Tsuehua walk along the road. Suddenly, a male voice sounds from behind them. Yang. An Yang looks back and sees Mo Qishan. Brother Mo. Yang. Mo Qishan runs over and greets politely. Good day, Auntie. Knowing that Mo Qishan and An Yang are dating, An Quihua's gaze softens considerably. Xiaoma, you're here. Yes. Mo Qishan nods. Auntie, where are you and Yang going? An Tsuehua says, we are heading to fly kites. Xiaoma, would you like to join us? Sure. Mo Qishan agrees happily. Because An Tsuehua is present, Mo Qishan doesn't dare to behave frivolously. He doesn't even dare walk too close to An Yang. They walk behind An Tsuehua. When An Tsuehua isn't looking, Mo Qishan reaches out and quietly holds An Yang's hand. When An Tsuehua turns back to speak to them, Mo Qishan quickly releases An Yang's hand and seriously answers An Quihua's questions. He's acting as if nothing had happened. An Yang stifles a laugh. extends her pinky finger, and hooks Emo Kishin's little finger, whispering, "Brother Emo, actually my mom already knows about us. If you want to hold hands, just hold it." This man is really stubborn. Emo Kishin's heart leaps. Really? Yes. And Young nods. Then how does mom perceive me? Emo Kishin lowers his voice. And Young says, "You're fine." After finishing her sentence, and Young realizes something was off, she nudges his waist with her elbow. "What do you mean our mom? She's my mom, stop trying to take advantage." Emo Kishin clutches his waist, acting dramatically. "Murdering your own husband. That's what you're doing. You jerk." At this moment, Tsuehua turns back. Yang, it's a left turn up ahead to get to the park, isn't it?" Emo Kishin quickly lets go of Yang's hand, startled. Yang nods and says, "Yes mom, a left turn up ahead and we'll be there." "All right." Yang turns his gaze to Emo Kishin, teasing, "Anyway, my mom already knows. What are you afraid of?" Emo Kishin says, "I have to maintain a good image in front of mom. What if she thinks I'm not steady enough and not a good match for you?" Yang laughs, "You fool." They arrive at the park soon after. The May weather is not cold, not hot. It's just right. All sorts of kites are flying in the park's sky. Tsuehua and little Yin are busy flying kites, while Yang and Emo Kishin sit under a big tree chatting. Yang, my mom wants to invite you over to our house tomorrow." Yang looks at Emo Kishin, puzzled. Emo Kishin continues, "As my girlfriend, Yang, do you want to go? Is it time to meet the parents already?" Yang is stunned. Yang. Yang thinks for a moment, sure. It's inevitable that the ugly wife will meet her in-laws. Besides, she's already quite familiar with Mo's Mrs. and Mr. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.